It's time for comics and company and whatever you're drinking. It's that kind of week. Whatever it is, whatever you need, we're doing it. So get ready. I'll see you in like 30 seconds. Look at me and my fabulous guest, Ray, DM Ray, Beau from Aussieverse. It's me, and you don't know what I'm drinking.
I love that cup. That cup is pretty awesome. Does it have the full rainbow? If you give that a 360 degrees, look at that. That's beautiful.
Glorious.
I love it.
It is. It's starting to lose its shine after 4 years, but I've been giving it a good run.
Yeah, that's a win. That's what that is.
How is everybody? Look at this. Look at all these people manifesting in the chat. You know, no cock. Don't worry, I've got a cocktail. It's blueberry white tea with blueberry vodka.
What's the name of the cocktail? Blue Dabba-Dee?
No, I just threw shit together. That's what
okay. I like it. That's cool.
I threw blueberry shit together, and I was like, blueberries.
I'm super basic with a Pepsi.
Right, Beau, what are you having?
I don't need liquids.
The constant of the universe. That's what he drinks from.
By the way, I'm giving you a break tonight, Beau, because I wanted you to wear your best. You know, your best.
That's for tomorrow. That's for tomorrow.
I did specify for tomorrow, so you're getting a break tonight. You're getting a break.
Yeah. I tried to wear something to suit the atmosphere. We're all happy people. And
Dude, I got such drab colors. Look, this is black. It's cold up here in Canada, so we're not into the bright happy colors yet. It's it actually snowed 2 days ago. It's April and we had a snowfall, which usually happens once. It's getting warmer, then surprise early April snow, and then it starts to get nice. So we're almost there.
JSS with the super chat, bro.
Yes, Blue throwing it togetherness. Oh, JSS.
Let's call it that. I like it.
All right, let's find out what kind of thank you chat should we get for JSS tonight. What should it be? Should it be?
Well, it's the first one, so it should be your best one.
There's my favorite. There's
not that one.
Well, obviously not my favorite. You know what? Let's start with this one.
I like cars. Right on, man.
All right. And then my traditional favorite.
I like that one.
I see what you did there. That's gooder.
No, it's just first of all, do you know how hard it is to find good clips to use? Oh my God.
Yes.
So aggravating. But let me tell you, the next super chat I get, we're gonna play my favorite. I don't care.
Done.
Oh, Bunkmaster, who's gonna be my guest eventually. Can't wait for everyone to get themselves canceled. You know what?
Hey, there's a new level. There's a new level of canceling. We don't go cancel. We control out the leak.
Whatever I say, in the background, of life, obviously, I'm only so wild in person. All right, so tonight it's us. Tomorrow morning I have Heroes for Hire, Matt. Then the Battered in the Back Cave. We're doing that at 5 p.m. God knows where that's gonna lead. Then I've got my usual Council of Comic stuff. Guess That Key I'm on the 9th. And then I'm doing Comics and Cocktails with Bunk is the 18th of April. There we go. We go.
Busy man.
Yes, and then Swag that joins me the next morning, and that's lovely. And it's just lovely. And one of my best friends, his birthday is on the 28th, and one of them is on the 9th. I got to get my shit together. People's birthdays got to be celebrated. You know.
April's a crazy month, man.
Yes. Dope. How are you? What's up? And Dope, I hope you see the video that Circumstances has put together where Circumstances, John, and I discuss the Deviant, because final issue, and I was pleased.
So has Mr. DM Ray been on Cliff before?
Yes,
this is my second time.
Right.
It's been a little bit.
So if you don't know the unofficial rule, if you're on a second time and it's not an emergency, then you're going to get paired up with somebody. So, of course, who better to pair him up with than the person I met him through? You, Bo.
Yes, sir. This has been...
It's all connections, brother.
Now, I know you guys overlap. I can't wait for streams working. I know you guys overlap on certain streams. This is my first time seeing you guys interact like voice to voice. It's always been through comments.
Did we not? Oh, wait, that's right. I was not on the show that you were. Wait, I wasn't. When I was on your show, I wasn't on with him, right?
For whatever reason, both times I've been on Aussieverse, you weren't there, Cliff. I know one of them you had comments, but just the way it worked out, coincidentally, each time.
There's only so many times I can ask Cliff in a year to get up at 4 or 5 a.m.
That makes sense too.
I think it's about 4 times a year I'm allowed, so one every quarter. And if I exceed that, I'm pushing the friendship.
So once every 12 weeks, I can respect that.
You're not pushing the friendship, but you do have to understand. Like, I literally have to rework my life for you. And by the way, that last stream, 2:00 in the afternoon, I was dead asleep in my office. It was awful. And then I heard like a pound at the door. It's like, are you alive? I'm like, oh my goodness. I was like, what's it time for? Oh, we're doing our software thing. Oh, let me grab my laptop. And then we're all in the room doing our training together, and I'm like, how do we do groups?
Oh, you were. I've seen you worse than that before. You were on a stream once where you could barely open your eyes.
Yeah, but you really got me out of bed. I was out of bed at 4 a.m. for you that time. 5 a.m. is one thing. 4 a.m. is another. And
whole time. I just want to go on a rant here about something, and here we go. And every time his words came out, his eyes got wider, and he got more and energetic until eventually he woke himself up, and he was screaming just like Cliff.
Cliff, I got a slogan for you. My middle child, she is a wild one, and every once in a while, if she's in a bad mood, she looks at me and says, "Today is hate throwing day." Oh, okay.
Is that where she just smashes things?
Just. Her rage is expressed in wild and chaotic ways, sometimes physical violence.
No. I mean, I love it because I identify, but oh no.
Identify.
You know? Well, no, do you know what was like really like so sometime in my childhood, I used to like to choke people.
This is always a good segue to a good story. I'm all ears.
Well, no, I like obviously enough people told me never touch me again. And like I realized that even though I was like 11, I had, these monstrous hands that could, and it was just really bad.
I imagine you same everything, except like a smaller version, except your head and hands are the same size. When you're strangling somebody, your face is like a Ren and Stimpy serious animation with all the excessive detail and bloodshot eyes.
Well, no, I'll tell you what. So this is the worst story. I was in 6th grade, right? I'm 13 at the time in 6th grade. And I'm in the cafeteria. It's my first year ever in public school. And some kid, I'm still not even sure who to this day, punched me right here in the throat during my lunch.
Throat punches are terrible.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. And I am so like out of control and I can't breathe and stuff is fluffing out of me, just whatever. It's so bad, right? Wow, we're down to 4 viewers. I'm not even that entertaining. But it's so bad. I'm struggling for life. I grabbed Malcolm, who's sitting next to me, and I'll never forget his name because I felt so bad. and I grab him and I start choking the life out of him. It's like, please, please.
Well, it sounds like he
anything,
deserves it if he's
right?
just walking up and randomly throat punching people.
Right. And I'm choking. He goes, Cliff, I didn't do anything. And I was like, I don't want to die. I'm not going to die alone. And everyone at the table started dying laughing, but couldn't believe it. They didn't even know what to do. I'm going up like this, and I'm like, I won't die alone. And then,
well, it's a good reason.
So like, there's always people monitoring the cafeteria. And this particular day, it's two teachers that liked me, thankfully, and they ran over and like, what is happening? I'm like, punch, throw, breathing. They're like, well, stop choking, Malcolm. So then,
that's hilarious.
So then they asked, so they dragged me to the vice principal's office and like, why were you choking Malcolm? And I was like, I don't know. The punch came from his side. I thought it was him, and I don't want to die alone. And they were like, and I could hear, and they left me alone in the room, and I could hear them laughing.
Amazing.
Well, that's always a good reaction from teachers.
Yeah, well, no, because like it's funny, right? Because like these teachers are like, wow, like I had like some serious overactive imagination issues at that age, right? So, but then like when I would also get really honest with them, and they would just be like, wow. Oh my goodness. In the meantime, I'm watching a bunch of our collateral friends watching the Omnibus Collectors Network OmniBros, and I love you guys. All right, I didn't think we were gonna go to choking and dying alone this early, but here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, my show is not for the weak. Not for the weak. Let me remind you all. Fair.
Probably should have put that at the start.
I love it.
I feel like at prime time, I don't need to like announce it right away, you know? So anyhow, our dear guest Jay returning to the show, so we don't have to go through all the formalities. We just have to torture you. What are you going to share with us tonight?
Well, I am on currently day 4 of a Kickstarter campaign for issue 2 of the Madcaps.
And how is it done?
So
how is it done?
It's going very well. So issue number 1, we had it funded in 2 days. This time around, we're funded in 2 hours.
Woo!
And by the end of day 2, we are double funded. So we just
straight up,
we released our first stretch goal, and I'm going to make the announcement after this because I have to upload the pictures and stuff. So we're starting with a humble stretch goal to start, but it's gonna pick up. This first one, we're just doing a die cut corner sticker. The art is taken from the main cover. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. Drinking too much pop. But now, in the States, do you say soda or pop? I know it's pretty divisive in that respect.
It is divisive in the States. I live in a
depending on the region.
Right.
You're a soda guy?
Soda place, but when I went to go visit Boston, everyone was saying pop. And also, just to freak me out, and I used to pop because of my family in Ottawa. But one time I was visiting my sister in Ohio, and I'm not thinking about it being Ohio. And I heard somebody say pop, and I'm like, what is happening here? Where am I again?
And there's some areas that they'll call all forms of pop or soda, they'll just call it a Coke. Would you like a Coke? Sure. What kind? I'll take a ginger ale for a Coke or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. You know?
Yeah, it's like calling a new pair of shoes Nikes, or I've got the Hoover being a vacuum or something like that. It's that's all. I find that stuff very, very interesting. But anyways,
it's called fizzy drink.
Fizzy drink? I've heard that before, but not.
Bo, in our private chat, I made a comment about MS4 plus beef or something like that. I don't know what that means, but that's supposed to be your grading scale for meat in Australia versus USDA Choice Prime in the United States. So I was trying to say that you were, USDA Prime meat, but in the Australian version, and you didn't even get it. So my joke
is, you don't know the ratings of Australian meat and what they go by. No, I just know the cuts and things like that. I
Googled it for our mutual enjoyment, and it was an epic fail. let me tell you, the things I have done for foreign men, I have researched all sorts of things. I've researched time zones, cuts of meats, forensics. Yes, forensics.
Forensics. I love it.
You know, and what do I get in return? You're always straight. You're never bi or gay. You suck. All right. And
Or maybe not enough.
right, you don't suck enough, and you're like, and you're not, you know, and like, and you have the nerve to be pretty, but like, there's like nothing there for me. Like, it's just terrible, you know. And then I go back to this life. So anyhow, Ray, you're telling us
you're my male partner in my heart, Cliff. Does that make you feel any better? No. Okay. So I want to
here. You know what? This is a really good segue. This is a great segue. So I think a good consolation prize here, and this is part of the segue, buddy cops. That atmosphere is like the closest, but not quite crossing a certain threshold of in regards to like contrast, respect, a solid relationship. With that said, I will share the first thing I'm going to show is the stretch goal unlocked. I'm going to share two different things. Here's the first thing. Share screen, window. So this graphic will be going. What was that?
I like how you had to reel us back in.
I didn't have to. I just saw the opportunity. And what do they say nowadays amongst the kids? Shot my shot kind of thing.
Oh my.
There we are. So, as you can see here, okay, I'm sharing. Can we see it on the screen here?
I got to be the one to add.
I'm doing the boomer thing. I should be adjusting my glasses as I don't know what I'm doing, kind of thing. So here's the die cut corner sticker. We're starting with the humble stretch goal to begin, but the only thing we've revealed other than this stretch goal is the very last one. The very last one, if we hit 4,500 US, we will be putting a black and white pencil and inked black and white image of one of the covers to issue number 3 to be like, you're going to want to see the last issue here. For number 3 is when it all wraps up. Here's a little taste kind of thing. So right now we just got this one. It's day 4 of 30, and we're already pretty much a quarter of the way, which I'm very excited over. This graphic will be going up on social media and on the Kickstarter. With that said, I'll stop sharing that, and I'll share one more thing here. Sharing screen.
Hold on, I stay in special mode. Never mind.
There we are there.
Oh, I got to reshare it again. What am I doing?
Oh, I had to close it. My bad.
No, you don't have to close it. I have to reshare. Just you got to let me know when it's time for me to share.
My bad. I'll do the boomer thing with the glasses. What's going on here? I don't understand what's happening.
You're doing great. It's me. You got to alert me.
That's all good, man. Okay, so here we have the Kickstarter is already full throttle.
Look at that Canadian dollar amount. I don't get to see that every day.
In Canadian, yeah. So I have a shout out to my publisher in New York, Philip Russert of Philbo Publishing. Everybody else will see that in non-Canadian funny money. Canadian funny money or US dollars. That's what I like to say. Anyways, so we got 27 days to go. We've hit the ground full throttle. You want to see the trailer?
That's 1,787 Australian.
Nice.
I don't know why I want to share that fact.
I like it. I like it. Okay, so.
After Chasgo and myself received a surprise visit from Dunnan and Madrakas, we were able to help the local guards stave off the beginnings of an undead outbreak. I recognise one of the fallen creatures to be an addict to the local drug, Weave. After following a lead, the 4 of us were able to track down a group of bandits transporting the drug. Fortunately, we were able to control the situation, and Dunnan has a gift with aligning perspectives.
You get to choose which of my friends here you are going to speak to. If not, I'll pick for you.
We had no idea that this was the beginning of a very long night.
And I've read issue 1, everybody out there, and I loved it. And it's only 3 issues in total. So that's pretty attractive to someone like me.
Yes. This is my first time writing a comic. I wasn't arrogant enough to think this is going to be ongoing monthly and everybody's going to love it and I'm going to be the next best thing since sliced bread. And I just wanted to make this really cool. Hi, Lady Fantastic. I want to make this nice, concise story that consists of beginning, middle, and end type of act. Originally, I wanted to do this in 2 issues. There was so much going on, I had to stretch it out to 3. And because it's indie, how often do you see in bigger companies, either be it the big 2 or Image or Dark Horse, there's a lot of times where they might have different ongoing monthly issues that have to connect at a certain month. Sometimes you get filler issues because of that. Mine is the exact opposite. You don't have to know like 60 years worth of lore. You don't have to sift through some of these pieces of filler to get to the cool stuff. It's just the stuff I wanted to tell.
You know 60 years of lore over at Marvel because they don't care about you. They don't care about the long-term fans. They just throw shit together and say, "Come on, we know better. You're going to enjoy it."
That's very true.
Marvel fans, you hit the jackpot.
So, Ray, I want to ask, how does it make you feel, man, knowing that you've accomplished your first 1 out of 3 goals of making a successful Kickstarter campaign? It took, what did you say, 2 days for the first one?
Yes, 2 days, and this time it was 2 hours.
So you're obviously relieved after the first one, and you're like, yes, this is going ahead, and all those natural feelings. How do you feel with this second one now, releasing it, being so successful so quickly? Is that sort of a relief for you? Are you like, yeah, I kind of knew it, or are you shocked, or how are you feeling?
It's not any of those. It's actually the feeling of relief. I just want to get that story out there. I don't know how else to explain it. If anybody's seen 2006, a Rocky Balboa, when he decides to come out of retirement one final time, and he has that swan song, he gets to get that out of his system. He words it to his buddy Paulie. He says, "I still got some stuff in the basement." This story I just really want to tell. I need to get it out of my system. And this time, as soon as it's funded, okay, it's going out there. All right, great. So now I can just focus on like issue number 3. I already have 3 covers done. And issue 1 and 2, I've had 5 covers each, a main and then 4 variants. It looks like there's going to be more for number 3, which I'm like, hey, that's great. That's bonus. And I'm just thinking, hit funding, get the story out there. This isn't my day job. This is something I've saved up for just so the people can see it. And to add to the dynamic of being a first-time writer, and I've said this on other podcasts, I can't quantify whether I'm good or not good or somewhere in between. That's up to the readers to decide. But one thing I can control is all the talent I'm bringing onto the project. So my colorist alone, he's worked on over 100 issues of Spawn, basically 50 to 150. My colorist, or rather my letterer, Micah Myers, he's a Ringo Award nominee. My interior artist, the first one, you can shout out to Evan Quiring. He did issue number 1. Unfortunately, because of his own projects, he just wasn't available. So I got Victor Medina this time around. And when you look at his stuff, it speaks for itself. I wanted to make sure there was talent I felt was worthy of the industry. So when you're saying I thought it would be good, or I knew it'd be all right, or this is great, I don't quantify the money. This is not my day job. This is just something I just want to happen. So it's not, I don't even want to make it sound like it's altruistic or anything like that. It's just, I want this cause. Everybody has hobbies, whether they're on like a fantasy football league or something like that. This is the thing I'm doing right now.
Well, Ray, you know what Dolly Parton once said?
She said a lot of things.
If you're going to do it for real.
Yes, I like that. Yeah, no half punches. You have to fully commit if you're going to do something, especially if money gets involved. In this case, I'm paying for talent. So yeah, I want, just like you said, there's no half measures here. We're going to go all in, and I'm flattered that there's enough fans to get it like funded. That's a close second for me. The top one is just getting it out there. So right now I'm thinking, does the art look good? Is the story flowing nicely? And now that it's funded, of course, until April is done, my focus is promoting and talking to everybody. Hey, this cool story is out, and I promise you, if you give it a chance, you will appreciate it for what it is. And issue number 3 has a huge payoff. It is well worth it. It's very concise, put together. Whole thing takes place over one night. I was mentioning buddy cops earlier. This thing's about 4 friends. They meet up at their hometown. Their reunion's cut short from an undead outbreak. After helping the guards stave that all off, one of them is inclined to believe it has something to do with a local drug, fictional drug called weave. And the rest of it is the equivalent of an adult version of Scooby-Doo, minus the dog, in a medieval fantasy theme told through the medium of a comic book. So it's just been a real pleasure to have all this exposure, talking to all the different podcasts. There's just a really cool experience. There's so many different personalities, and all of them have been awesome. From January 1st until the end of this month, I'm just shy right now of 50 podcasts I will have been on. And I'm having fun. Like, this is just, I'm telling you wholeheartedly, I'm not doing this for money. I just want to tell this cool story, and I guarantee you are more.
Now, which one's your favorite?
Character or podcast?
No,
podcast. Dude. So you're asking me to compare what's better between like
us.
What's better, Dragon Ball Z or Invincible? That's an
Invincible.
If I'm Dragon Ball, I'll take that.
What I do know is it's very unfair to compare things like that. And you know what? That's another really good segue. These 4 characters, I'm still sharing my screen, yes? I'm going to scroll down. I've got bios of all 4 characters. All 4 characters here. We have a full-blooded dwarf, a religious wild man of the woods that swings an axe and has a humble church built in the city of Ivywood. He's not one for forcing his beliefs on anybody, but he is a fan of doing right by others through what he feels is the right thing. We have a blue-skinned elf. His kind are known as Argers, who are vilified. His people are killed on sight, so he uses magic to hide his appearance and look like a human. We have a half-dwarf, half-gnome. This fella's name's Dun and Eenie. Somehow, through his mutted bloodline of the 2 different bloodlines, he somehow has this magic control over metals and crystalline structures. One of his coolest builds he's ever done is that telescope hiding behind his shoulder, which can blast raw magic out of it. So it kind of peeks over his shoulder and shoots at things. And the last one is this giant creature known as Madrakas Darthual, who hails from an ancient, like, kaiju-like electric eel that lives out in the ocean. So he can, like, vomit out lightning in limited amounts, no different than, like, a snake with venom in its fangs. It has to replenish it over time, but despite him being over 6.5 feet tall and clearing 350 pounds in weight, his one of his most deadliest things about him is actually his brain. And he is an amateur mage, a practitioner in the arcane, who really hasn't had the chance to study and strengthen those abilities. And each one of these characters, there is some type of description over the theme of them of who am I and how do I fit in the world. So, and I'll just go through these guys really quick and I'll show off some covers. But Madrakas, he can't hide his appearance. In fact, in the very first issue, when they're coming back into Ivywood, Dunnan and Madrakas to meet the other 2, Madrakas says he says he really doesn't want to be there. And when they give their names at the front gate to enter the city, some guards they get a little disgruntled and they look like they're about to square off with Madrakas. And he says, Ivywood, being the name of the city, Ivywood's charges against me were dropped, and the guards leave him alone. And it's inferred but never really explored to give an idea of some life before the story started. And he can't hide who he is, going back to the theme of who am I. So that armor he wears, he's not a skilled fighter. It's ceremonial. He wears it because it reflects the culture of his people. He doesn't know too much about being raised by parents. Dunanini, he draws from both of his bloodlines, being half dwarf, half gnome, but he has a hard time fitting in either culture. And because of this, he can easily have a bond with just as closely to a friend as he would a family member, giving him a very unique outline on outlook on alliances and the difference between who you're related to and who you choose as family. Chasgo Blundale, who views his people's culture there as primitive and dysfunctional. They want nothing to do with outsiders.
Chasgo bothers me the most because
Yes.
he looks exactly like one of my clients. And worse, my client has more hair growing on his ears than Chasgo. So go figure that out.
So you know what? I'm really glad you pointed that out. This guy is a textbook case of you don't judge a book by its cover. He's referred to as a good-hearted charlatan. So his people, he wanted to leave his people, but again, his people are killed on sight outside of that mountain range. So other than his three friends in this tight-knit circle, nobody knows he's not a human. They all think he is a representative of a noble. He's ascended quite high up. It's really dancing with danger. But in his case, who am I and how do I fit in the world? Well, he has a hard time opening up, and he's very reserved and guarded. And you can see that in his facial expression there. Jay Sloan, who drew these 4 concept pieces here, did a really good job showing that. And then the last one, of course, Sarlacc, well, he moved into Ivywood to, like I said, he wants to be a beacon of light and help those less fortunate than him in the city of Ivywood. This is a city that's predominantly human. So in his mind, he doesn't need any glory. He's not a boastful person. But at the same time, humans tend to make fun of things different than themselves. So Sarlacc sometimes gets some shade for being a dwarf. He shrugs it off and does the right thing anyways. And all of them have a similar theme there, but they're definitely all expressed uniquely from each other.
Yeah,
And,
tonight
I will say how
art
easy it is
imitates
to get.
life.
What's that?
Cliff?
I said the theme is art imitating life.
Now, one thing I really like to do is I like to reflect life without taking sides on it. So, for example, I mentioned there's drugs in this. This comic is not pro or anti-drug. It just happens to have drugs involved in the story arc. I'll show you off some covers here. Here's the main one. It was drawn by Kenny Calderon. I'll see if I can.
And I was going to say, Ray, I know that
Yes.
you've just said a lot about these characters, but I did find it very easy to get into these characters and the storyline, which is really cool, because sometimes you're a bit hesitant when you pick up a new comic that you're not going to get into the characters that quickly. You need to warm up to them, but that was not the case with Madcaps.
One thing I tried really hard with these 4 individuals is I wanted you, you know what? Marvel has seemed in their movies to adopt this trend. Marvel, there's not many origin stories anymore. They kind of jump into it and they kind of infer on the origins, or will expand later on it. Coincidentally, this story I started 3 years back now. And my whole plan was I wanted people to feel like they were dropped in the middle of a circle of friends talking. You're going to pick up on certain nuances, but you're not going to understand at least 10% of the conversation, be it inside jokes or references to past events you have no context to. There's a little bit of that going on. And my intention for that was I wanted it to, I think I was saying earlier, I wanted it to feel like this world existed before these 3 issues started. And I wanted to feel like also the world is existing while this story is happening. There's other things going on. And then the world should exist after the story, of course. So because of that, sometimes it's difficult to give information to the reader without making it look like you're just like speaking just to the reader. And I think I've said this before on a couple of different podcasts. One of the most frustrating things that I see in stories is I call it lazy or sloppy introductions. So something like you have 2 brothers and you want the reader to know they're related. So one says, "How are you doing today, brother?" Nobody speaks like that. Like that feels like it's forced. And in this case, my opening sentence between Madrakis and Dunnan coming into Ivywood, Dunnan saying, "I'm really glad you came with me, and it's going to be easier to convince the other two with you here." Okay, we've got some dynamics going on here, and you can extrapolate. In that case, the city guards at the main gate says, "We need to know your names before you come in." So I had a reason for those two to give their names, so the readers knew who they were, as opposed to, "How you doing today, Jim?" "Not too bad, Bob." It didn't feel forced that way. It felt more natural. And there was a lot of dynamics like that where, in my mind, okay, where have I seen in movies or comics where basically the author is winking to the reader? Like it's almost insulting at their level of intelligence. Like another thing I tried to do with this story is just read it and absorb it. You'll get it over time. You don't need to know everything right this minute, kind of thing. And so for these four individuals, you know some things about them. So for example, in the first issue, that first scene where Chazgo reveals who he actually is to interrogate a person and get some information, leading up to that point, with the exception of the cover, you have no context to that. But when he shows who he is and he's the one narrating, he says, "I wasn't proud of this, but I showed him who I was, and it did coerce the information we needed." Oh, cool. What the heck did I just witness? I wanted the reader to feel that. They didn't have to understand all the backstory of his people and how he's embarrassed of them and so forth and so on. I did give bios. I put it at the end of the comic simply because people would read that, then go back and read the story again and have some more context. So they read it a second time and absorb it more.
And who doesn't like a bio?
Say again?
And who doesn't like a bio?
Yeah, bios are good, man. Yeah, if put together well, yeah, it has to be well put together for a good bio. Much like in issue 1 and issue 2 here, I've got 4 different variant issue covers, and they are all each one is of one of the characters. They all have some type of relevance. Going back to that main cover, this is them about to walk in on the territory, the home turf of a distributor of this fictional drug. So you can see it's got a lot of overgrowth in it, and you can see the nuance, the slightly different expressions of all of their faces. Like there's some from "I don't want to be caught" to "I don't really know if I want to do this" to "I'm looking out from danger" to the little smirk on his face of what kind of mischief is going to happen from this. And every cover, I wanted some type of relevance of what was happening inside the issue. So this variant cover here, we have Chazgo.
I love that one.
This one was drawn by Jay Sloan as well. So you were saying there, Cliff, how you didn't like that image on the bio. This is the same artist. This is
no. The image is great. My client literally looks like that.
My apologies on the wording.
That's not an art preference. That's just a terrifying truth.
I love it.
By the way, can I just take a moment, because I did not even get to thank Rob for his 5 contributions to Aussieverse, which included one to Beau, which is hilarious.
I know. I'm subscribed to Aussieverse.
Right.
I'm gonna unsubscribe.
Yeah, but you weren't a member of Aussieverse. So let's do a proper thank you here for Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
And circumstances, Marcus, you beautiful human being, 5 memberships to Cliff on Comics for Dungeon Crawler Carl, Sticksboy 73, Wellbore, Lisa Noble, and Ben Compton. Of course, Marcus, I'm so sorry that I have to choose one of my favorites, but I'm choosing one of my favorites to say thank you. And just like that, I feel like we're all caught up.
Who doesn't like the beach, right? Like, that's a win as far as I'm concerned.
That man can do whatever he wants. Glenn Powell, if Glenn Powell wants to play Batman, Green Lantern, I don't care what he wants to do. If he just whatever that man wants. Whatever he wants.
What if he had a film. It was him for 2 hours finding some
Peeking in
random
panic?
local phone book from 1988, and he just read it for 2 hours.
But
without-
he's shirtless.
Sure.
He has to be shirtless, and I'm there.
Okay. Nice.
It's same thing. Aaron Taylor Johnson. I really enjoyed Craven. You know, first of all, they gave him a really good fighting style, and then of course the 8-pack, just amazing. So just watching the movie on mute is just is glorious. And
You don't like the Russian accent.
actually, he could do that. I don't even care. He could do whatever he wants. I'm just saying, I could watch a shirtless Aaron Taylor Johnson kick a can for 2 hours, and I'll be all over it. All over it. But the fact that the movie just normal sucked, not super sucked, I was okay.
You gave it you allowed it. I'll allow it to happen, kind of
Look
thing.
at this one. Look at this one trying to entice me. You know, it's too late, Elon. It's too late. You broke my heart.
I love it.
There's Max. Max, sing to me whenever I'm ready.
They were singing earlier in the chat. Did you not see it?
Not since the one where Matt made me cry, so I don't know.
No, if you scroll up, they started singing. Max I dreamed a dream in time gone
No,
by.
that's old. We did I Dream a Dream.
What about what is it? And then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like I love you. How about that one?
I know that one. I don't. Yeah, that's good. Anyhow, the chat was weird, man. The chat was weird.
Hey, that's what the chat is
weird.
for, man. The chat is all about the weird.
So what's the other covers, man?
Going back to covers, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So the relevance of this cover is this is the first time in a comic you see Chazgo's pet MX, and it's an interesting statement. Well, first you have the physical attributes of this bird. It's a 3-eyed albino raven. So there's a lot that suddenly, okay, I have questions, which is I did that on purpose. And the other thing is, up to this point, there's been a lot of tones of solitude and borderline loneliness with Chazgo, because he always has this physical and metaphorical mask on. And suddenly, if you didn't have that bird there, you see him sitting down and he's milling about his thoughts. You don't know if there's sadness or just hanging out by himself or
Thinking about voting.
what's going on. Maybe he's just on day shift having a smoke break outside, sitting on a milk crate. Like, you have no idea. But when you have MX there perched on his shoulder, suddenly you get the feeling of a man and his dog, if you will. There's a little bit of a feeling there, and it breeds a lot of questions because, well, what else can this guy do? And this doesn't spoil anything in the book, but he literally just summons it, and it poof appears on his arm. So it looks unnatural. It comes out of nowhere. Obviously, there's magic involved, but that's the only context you get from the imagery. So when I spoke to Jay, I said, this is no disrespect to anybody else who's drawn anything in my project here, but you draw Chazgo the best. I want to debut a bird. He gave me 7 different thumbnails to choose from. And this one I thought was the best because of the emotion in the man's body language.
Yeah, from memory, this is my favorite cover as well, I think.
Yes, lots of people love this one. I have more to speak about on this cover, but we'll come back to that in regards to the art. But Dave Kemp, Dan Kemp's brother, he colored it. The fact that I didn't give him much to work with in regards to a color palette, and he still knocked it out of the park, it's a testament to his ability. Both of them, their combined skills. This is just, pun intended, it's just magic. I'm flattered that I was able to have these two souls cross paths and combine their efforts to make this really cool image. Moving on to the next one. This is Russ Leach from the UK. He drew Dunn and Amy, this half-dwarf gnome, and there's his telescope going full bore. You can see it's taking an arm off of a dead individual. Dave Kemp also colored this one. One of the coolest things I like about this one is the more you look into it, the more details there are to discover. For example, because that telescope is going off, it takes attention off the fact that he's using a hammer to sever the jaw of his arm. You don't actually really notice that unless it's pointed out. And the more you look, the more cool details you can see in this. I'm really happy. Again, when you talk about combining two talents, Russ did a really good job with the black and white inking in regards to drawing the eye to the center of the page. Dave added to that when he colored it, because he downplayed the colors of the Horde to amplify Dunnan that much more, in turn amplifying what Russ was trying to do here. It's just a beautiful combination of colors and art, and I'm very happy, again, these two pieces of talent to combine to make this really, really cool thing.
The coloring is just so gorgeous, though.
Yes,
like, he makes that laser bright and the lighting glorious. Yes.
And the lens flare. Everybody loves the lens flare on there. I'm just like, again, I'm just beside myself. This is my first time working on a comic, and we have like seasoned veterans with like 3+ decades in some cases of experience, and I just asked them. I mean, I got a lot of people saying no, I'm not free, unfortunately. But then you get some of this talent, and they're like, yeah, sure. Really? Yeah, awesome. I'm just beside myself. Here we have somebody. Go ahead.
I guess you'll do.
Yeah. Here we have this line art here was done by Rod Ramos Rodolfo out in Brazil. And I had him. This is a representation. Again, this is a scene that happens in issue 2, where you can see in the foreground Earth coming upward, and that's getting pulled up with Madrakis using an arcane ability. I took the pages of where this happens in the book. I took the script and I sent it to Rod, and I'm like, I'm looking for Madrakis doing this cool thing. What would he have for me? And he showed me the sketch of this. I'm like, go. Not even any examples or anything. I don't even think there's any edits or amendments. And then Dan Kemp colored it up. And I mean, just like everything else, this piece speaks for itself. Like, this is just like, this is becoming a little bit of a fan favorite, this character. For anybody who's seen the original Power Rangers, Madrakis is the equivalent of Tommy, the Green Ranger. Tommy, he always did a lot of cool stuff. Very seldom did he deliver the finishing blow, but he was definitely of relevance and justified. And Madrakis seems to be falling in a similar vein to that. This is the other thing. There's always that trope: large, hulking individuals are good for nothing but being oafish, stupid meat shields. And I never liked that. Madrakis has already said,
Bruce Banner would have some arguments about that.
And you know what? You bring up a solid point. It isn't always the case, but more often than not, big guy is obviously dumb and nothing more than absorbing hits, so nobody else is getting hit. Obviously, exceptions to the rule. You're absolutely right. This guy, he's big, he's menacing looking, he's not a skilled fighter. He's wearing ceremonial stuff. He's highly intelligent. That is the scariest thing about him. And because of his size and because of how arguably scary he is and imposing, people do count out him being smart, which is something you get to see more of in this case, of his looks, or not just his looks, but his abilities. In the first issue, you get to see a little bit of his arcane ability. He catches one zombie by the throat, sets its head on fire, and casts it aside, which is a really cool moment. I wanted the magic in this world to be more like, if you're not very good, or if you're not very experienced or trained in a certain arcane discipline, the results you can provide with said discipline are going to be very minor. So in this case, Madrakis, although he was able to set something on fire, I don't describe it in the book, but he's not highly proficient, highly skilled. So it's not like he can cast something on fire from a distance. In this case, he has to be touching it. And there are limits to all of these guys. So him vomiting out lightning, he has limited reserves. Like a skunk can only spray so much before it has to like build up accordingly. And this is kind of a similar thing. Yeah, lots of people are loving Madrakis, but this last image, this is penciled. This line art was done by Jenna Stark in New York, and it was colored by Dave Kemp. This is going to be a metal foil cover to amplify that stained glass effect. And I'm really excited to see what this looks like. And this, again, this is a depiction of another scene in this image, or in this issue rather, where Sarlacc finds a book. It's a critical point in the story arc, and unfortunately, just like everything else, there's only so much I can say at this point, but you're going to want to buy this book and get more into it. I've mentioned 5 scenes here amongst all of these covers, and that doesn't even cover the entire issue. Like, there's a lot going on, and you're definitely going to enjoy it. This one I'm very much looking forward to seeing in my hands, just to see how well that metal foil like reflects.
Yeah, that'll be pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I think that's going to be, and even something like Jenna, she used the logo, that bloom in the logo, to add almost like a sunny flair to it. So in this case, it does give off religious vibes, and Sarlacc would never condone such glorification on himself. He doesn't consider himself a deity or anything. And I felt that was the perfect depiction of, you'll see like in old medieval like movies or something, you'll see like stained glass depictions of like critical things, or in Lord of the Rings when Boromir's in Rivendell and he finds the sword that actually severed Sauron's hand, not severing the ring off. He's looking at it and he says, "This is the sword," and you look up and you see a tapestry of a depiction of that. And that was my intention with this cover, to have a depiction of somebody that means well, told in a cool flair. And I think it came off pretty darn good. I'm really happy with how that came out. I won't go through all of the tiers, but I'm going to encourage you all, look up the Madcaps issue 2. I'll just talk about it quick. Here's the interiors. I forgot to shout out to Victor Medina. Here's all of them about to literally interrogate some of the bandits that they intercepted at the end of issue number 1. Dan Kemp, who's colored, like I said, 100 issues of Spawn. He's colored like for McFarlane, Capullo, Chance Wolfe, and various others. He's very much enjoying coloring Victor's stuff. He says there are some different McFarlaneisms and Capulloisms in Victor's work. He knows what he's working with, is basically what he's saying. I'm only showing 3 pages now, but as the campaign progresses, I may show a couple more. This is page 1 and 2. You can look on it. Like I said, you can look through this on your own leisure, but I want to do this in a brisk pace because there's just so much to talk about. Here's a really cool scene on page 7 where this image is Chazgo looking through the eyes of Emex, getting surveillance of a compound. And there's so many more cool things to go on with Emex, but that's a story for another time. And you can get digital issue. You can get a digital catch-up tier where you get issue number 1. There's sketch covers. You can get a physical copy of issue 1, any of the variant covers. The metal foil cover is more expensive because it's metal foil. It costs more to make. If you like D&D, I have a professional dungeon master who is going to do a one-shot for me. I did this in the first campaign. He's stepping in again, and all of the money, I actually lose $1. It's $35 a person. I actually lose $1 when you consider Kickstarter's cut and taxes and various other things. I just really like this tier. I have a lot of fun. This guy, you get what you pay for. In the trailer, he actually voiced Dunnan as they're interrogating the 2 individuals on page 1. The guy is very skilled. You will definitely get your money's worth. It is a really good time. And then there's other different like bonus packages. You can buy them in bulks. We also have T-shirts of art from issues 1 and 2. We've got where are we here? You could buy all 5 covers. We got a package for that. We have a fireside cover or combo where you can like buy an issue, but you can also get we're calling plush tapestries. They're actually blankets, but anything that looked like a painting of some type or depicting something that looked a little more old-fashioned. You can get that as a blanket to hang on your wall, or something like us Canadians, we like our blankets because of all this lovely winter. I mean, my city is literally nicknamed Winterpeg. Who doesn't like a blanket, right?
Yeah, man, that'd be cool.
There's
I
an
like that.
ultimate collector's tier, and somebody actually bought one of these. They got all the covers, pinup art, bookmarks, a map of where the story takes place, one blanket of choice, one t-shirt of choice, a metal foil poster, which I'll talk about in a second, and also we got character sheets of all 4 characters, so you can play as them as level 5 characters, adapted to 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. And the list goes on and on. The last thing I will talk about, here's some images of the add-ons. There's Sean Langley's art that was seen in the first one. You can get the first physical copy of issue 1. You can get a combo of the color and black and white of Sean Langley's art, colored by Dan Kemp. The last thing I'll talk about, so it isn't just me rambling on and on. Originally, this art here for Chazgo's cover, a lot of people said this should have been metal foil. Now, I was a little conflicted.
Man.
I
didn't want to say it earlier.
my conflict was I didn't want to take away from the stained glass cover.
Yeah.
And so the compromise is here's this image without the brand on it, just the color. You can get it as a poster, metal foil, so you can hang it up on your wall. But so you have that without the logo, or you can get the metal foil cover of the stained glass one. They both have their chance to shine, I guess is a good way to put it. Everything else, there's the bookmarks as mentioned, the character sheets as mentioned. There's 4 different options for the t-shirts. You get to pick the t-shirt size, one of the 4 art options, and you get to pick the color of the t-shirt as well. And
I'm actually backing it right now after that.
Say again?
I'm actually backing it right now after that.
Oh, dude, thank you.
I mean, I was getting the digital, but now I need a physical so I can get that.
Yes, so the metal foil cover costs more, and in some of the combos, if you get a cover choice, the metal foil cover doesn't count in that combo. Just because it's more pricey, it costs more to make. But I think you'll get your money's worth if you decide to get that metal foil cover as well. Here's a little bit closer of a look of the different art for the plush tapestries. This one's from issue 2, but I think it would look cool as a tapestry as well, that stained glass look. And these are covers from issue 1. The one on the Jenna Stark actually did the art of the stained glass and this image of Dunn and Eni. But this image here in the middle, that was hand painted by John Zalesnik. He's painted that's hand painted, that's not digital. He's painted for Warhammer 40K, Magic the Gathering, various metal bands, album covers. And one of the coolest things I find about this guy is he's done the cartridge art for the original Shinobi for the NES. That ninja, that's his work. And again, how the heck did I get these guys on my project? Here they are, kind of thing. As mentioned, the stretch goal, we're starting off a small one, but if we get to the end, if we get to 4,500, we will give a black and white cover reveal of issue number 3 added in the back of issue number 2. Shout out to all the people, including myself. I mentioned Victor Medina, Dan Kemp. These are all the fellas coloring the interiors. Micah Myers, of course, lettering. And then, of course, Phil Russert, Philbo Publishing, who has done a lot for me, and I am very grateful. But I'll stop sharing here. I've said quite a lot, and as you can tell, I am very much an extrovert, and I have no problem talking back and forth. It doesn't just have to be me listening to my voice, of course.
I was literally just looking at all your add-ons, and I'm like, oh, what can I get? What can I afford? Because that damn conversion rate. So I've gotten one and 2 because I've got one digitally. And if leading up to because sometimes you got to change your pledges because it's like in 3 days and you don't have that much money.
Yes,
I've gotten the metal poster, but we'll see whether I can actually pull that off when the time's come. I'm definitely getting 1 and 2. Don't worry about that.
So just for size reference, it's the same size as a comic print.
Yes, sweet.
So it'll be easy to ship. But you guys, all these backers that came in, man. Like I said, it's my first time. Who am I? Like I'm not a well-established individual in this community, in the industry. Between the talent that's decided to jump in on this project and all these people that have just, hey, I'm interested in that. It's just so flattering. It's really cool, man.
Well, it should speak a lot as well when a guy that buys collected editions typically doesn't buy single issues. If I'm being even more honest, my plan originally was to wait until it was done and then hope you do a hardcover of some kind.
I've heard many people do that, which is my plan.
That's what I was going to do. But I don't know, man. I've already read issue 1 and I loved it. It was really good. And only buying 3 issues to get a whole story, you know, that's not gonna break my bank or my comic room.
Well, I really appreciate it. You guys have been very, very hospitable. It's always a good time on both your guys' shows. You're saying who's a favorite? I can't play favorites. It's a good time.
Listen, he'll take Dragon Ball and I'll take Invincible. It's okay.
Done. You can like them both.
There we go.
Oh, Brian, hello. He's stopping by.
Cliff, have you had the pleasure of reading issue 1?
Yes, of course. From when I had Phil on. I'm sorry, when I had Phil on and Ray on, just so you know. So 2 different times I got to enjoy.
Yes.
Phil on as well. He told me I was the only one.
Oh, you know what?
Well, he met me first, remember?
I would like to give one more shout out to Phil Russert. In a week's time, he's actually releasing his own story. I'll give the Coles notes really quickly. So Phil Russert, last year, his father passed away. Something he wanted to do was he had this story he wanted to get in his dad's hands before he passed. I read the script. This script is phenomenal. It's 5 issues. Phil was disappointed he couldn't follow through with that. But for somebody who lost, I mean, not everybody has good relationship with their parents. So I can't speak on everybody's behalf. I had a good relationship with my dad. And it was when he passed away, which is going to be 3 years ago. Ironically, Phil's dad and my dad passed away on the same day of the year. But mine was a little bit soon or earlier, a couple years before that. But anyways, when I lost my parent, there were certain things, like I used the analogy earlier, I have some stuff in the basement and I had to get out of my system. I had to follow through. I had to make sure I buried his ashes. And there's many other things I felt honor bound or obligated in certain ways. Phil is in that vein right now. So he needs to get this story out of his system. I can definitely relate. This story, if you imagine Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino, if you took that character and replaced Better Call Saul in the movie Nobody, you've got an old man versus the mafia, and there's a twist in there, and unfortunately, I can't say anything else. This is all about an old man trying to beat up very corrupt and evil people, and what a human will do to protect their offspring and their offspring. In this case, he's got a grandchild, and what people will do, like they'll suffer in silence and they'll do it with a smile on their face if it's to protect family. This story is definitely with having, you can look it up right now. It's on pre-launch. It's called Papa. This story will speak for itself when it comes out. I am going to be re-releasing a review for it on my Facebook profile page. There's only so much I can say, which is super frustrating. But at the end of issue 1, when he goes to launch issue 2, there will definitely be more to talk about. But go and check it out.
I've been seeing him post about this, and he was talking about it when he was on our show. And you can tell it's a massive passion project that he's worked on, and he feels very, very strongly about it. And yeah, man, he's a good guy. I lost my father about close to a month ago now, and Phil, just like Cliff, messaged me a lot. Phil sent a few voice messages and things. So thank you very much for that, Phil. You're a top guy, and I'll definitely be buying that story when it comes out.
Yeah, it's unique enough, but it also feels like a Silver Age comic.
Yeah, right.
It is very refreshing for a Silver Age comic type of feel. And yeah, man. This has just been a really good time. I'm very flattered at all the support I've been getting, and I'm really happy to have met all these individuals. If I didn't decide to take this this project on and just like self-motivate myself, I would have never met you guys, for example. Like, I've met a lot of really cool people, and it's just really nice to just talk about cool stuff. It's a great time, man.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely,
just think,
man.
if I had not run into Phil locally at a comic book store signing, and then Bo
There you are.
randomly invited me on with Phil, and Phil recognizing me immediately, I wouldn't have gotten you in my life, but Bo would still be here. And
But then, unfortunately, as well, you do meet people you wish you didn't, like Alan, for example, and it's too late because they're already in your life. And you just don't know how to get rid of them.
You leave my favorite Welshie alone, okay?
So Bo, I don't know if this is true, but apparently in Australia, I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe in just a certain area, there's this term called hanging around like a fart in a phone booth. Have you ever heard of that before?
Yeah. It's not something that I'd hear a lot, but yeah, I have heard it.
So, Cliff, maybe he's trying to say that about you. I want to get rid of him, but I just can't, man. Like, I like the guy too much, kind of thing.
He's not going to get rid of me. He's stuck with me. Apparently, I got to start saving for Spain. So this is a whole thing now.
What you doing in Spain? Where you going?
Barcelona? I'm performing weddings.
Oh, interesting.
Getting married, that's right. And
in Spain.
I'd never want to hear Cliff complain about how much it's going to cost or any excuses with cons that he needs to go to. He's going to find his way there, and he's going to do the deed.
And
which
I will do the deed. All the and every corner from here all the way down to Australia, and I'll just stash into the bank so I can fly home.
That sounds, man. I've never been to
That'll
Spain.
be streamed on Aussieverse as well, probably. Because why not? Yeah, why not?
Life is good,
does
man.
Claudia want your wedding streamed somewhere? Actually, okay, to be fair though, my sister, her church, included streaming the wedding as part of the package. So that was kind of neat. And our relatives in Canada got to watch it,
That's the point, because I don't know realistically how many people from my side are actually going to be able to go, because you're looking at a good $5,000. And how do you expect people to? You can't put that on people. You know what I mean?
No, my mother hates destination weddings. And by the way, my mother is number one at hating destination weddings. Number one. But she discovered something this year in 2025 that she hates even more. Destination Sweet 16s. Wow.
What?
Yes. My mother thought that she thought that destination weddings were awful, and that's a bit selfish and ridiculous, but no. Destination Sweet 16. She is livid. She's like, this makes destination weddings look like a walk in the park. Destination
Sweet 16s.
Yes, and do you want to know where this destination Sweet 16 is? Hawaii. My mother is incensed. And I'm loving every second of it.
Hold on. I got to clarify this. This is an individual that can't legally drink, can't vote, doesn't have a job, so they don't kill what they eat, essentially. And and such an individual, an archetype, if you will, is expecting to have thousands of dollars spent on them to celebrate their 16th lap around the sun in another country.
Well, for you, it's another country.
Okay, another state, a faraway area.
Yes.
With thousands of dollars that they probably couldn't make in a month with an introductory job post high school.
Well, if they take after their mother, they're not going to have any problems, because their mama is the one who's doing this. And obviously, she's the one who cares about drinking under the sun, because it is all her.
Wow. I couldn't imagine myself at 16 being able to
Right, but
He's
I need
so
you.
bold
I
to
need
make
you to
those
understand.
dynamic.
I
Yeah, yeah.
need you to understand.
I'm all
because
ears.
I feel like this came out wrong. I feel like this came out like an episode of my Super Sweet 16 on MTV. This is the child did not ask for this. The mother is imposing this on everyone.
So the mother's living vicariously through the child then.
Yes, she is.
My
She's
The
giving
mother,
her
the mother just wants a holiday and he's using it as an excuse.
right. But the thing is, right? No, that's exactly what's happening. But it's like so selfish because, like, first of all, her grandmother can only afford the trip because she married a wealthy man. But had she not married a wealthy man, she wouldn't even be able to go.
Yeah, this is wild. Though the one thing that comes to mind is there are times like I've got 3 kids. I try really hard to make their milestones not about me.
Right.
I try really hard to do that. So when I hear you're going here because I say so, it's not in the kid's best interest. That's like huge parental red flag. That's just my opinion.
It is, but also if you knew this person, it just kind of resonates with who they are. But at the same time,
I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal. You're an adult parent who's paying for it all. You want a holiday, and for some reason, you can't admit you want a holiday for whatever reasons you don't know about. So her daughter's turning 16. So her daughter's turning 16, and she's like, "Fuck this! I'm going to use this as an excuse to." What's wrong with that? If the daughter, unless the daughter is like saying, "No, please don't take me to Hawaii. I can't go there for whatever reason."
The daughter's thinking it's really cool. The daughter's like, "Oh my god, like Moana," like like the daughter's having a good time.
I wish I had a sweet 16 in Hawaii or anywhere.
Of course, me too. All I can remember about my sweet 16 is I don't know. There was ice cream cake.
See my point? I can't remember that.
And
birthdays you remember, but
I think there was a trip to the movies followed by a trip to Friendlies. I feel like that's like the gist of my Sweet 16. With my Sweet 16, right?
What's Friendlies?
Oh, it's a restaurant that like is really focused on making ice cream desserts.
Interesting.
Oh.
You know, with
sounds like a
really,
good time.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, you're in Canada. How do you? You know what? Hold on. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine A&W, except there was more of a focus on ice cream themed desserts.
Is there also a tuba that plays when a bear walks in? Because that's pretty much A&W.
No, that you're making it Canadian. Stop making it Canadian. Yeah, you're making it very John Candy Canadian. Stop.
I love John. You don't like John Candy?
Yeah. First of all, I cried.
I want a restaurant now I can walk into. Badom. Sorry.
You cried. That's okay. You cried, Cliff.
When he died, yeah. Cried.
Well, that was in the early mid-90s.
Yeah,
one of his last movies was Wagons East.
Yeah, Wagons East. Yeah, that was one of his two last movies. He also had a made-for-TV movie that was awful, so we just forget that happened.
I want to watch that now just to celebrate his life. He died, 94.
Yeah, and he was only 40-something. You know,
that was 31 years ago. He died. Yeah, he was 44.
Yeah, dude, I'm 47. I was so devastated. I loved him so much. Like, as a kid, I couldn't sleep at night, and I would watch The Honeymooners and SCTV, and there he was. I loved Uncle Buck.
Buck, man.
I loved
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Trains. I still watch.
I like Who I Am.
I watch it every year. You know, oh my God, the I Like Who I Am speech. Do you know how much that fat fuck meant to me because of that speech? Because that's what I think about was I'm gonna be this fat fuck loser with living out of a briefcase. Like, I really was like afraid that this was my life, you know. And that speech was so inspiring to me. And Only the Lonely, oh my God, Only the Lonely still makes me cry. Okay, so I can't even tell you what that man's, just his legacy of movies alone has meant to me, you know?
What was the one where he was a writer and what he was writing was coming true? Delirious, I think, maybe? That was one of his later.
Yes.
That was one of his later comedies. I used to like that one too.
Oh, I'm gonna have to rewatch it. I haven't thought about that in a while.
Yeah, because he's got like this girl that he likes, and he writes in the book, and then she notices me and blah blah blah, and then she does, and he's like, oh, what I'm writing is actually happening, and as you can imagine, he takes it a bit too far. Lessons are learned.
Yes.
Delirious. There you go. Yeah.
I love it. It's free. It's free on Tubi. I'm all about it.
Two things that really resonate with me and John Candy. The first one, when I was a kid, I was what you would label as sensitive. So it was easy to make fun of me, and it was obviously entertaining, which just encouraged the dynamic more. When I watched Uncle Buck, one thing I found out, his was an extreme, but there's always like counters when you just change frames on a topic. So when the guy, the what's his name, Bug, when he walks up to John Candy in his car, he's like, "You ever heard of a tune-up?" Then John Candy says, "You ever heard of a ritual killing?" And just took ownership of it. Like, screw your car. Your life is more entertaining right now, So that one really resonated me on how to deal with ribbing and then like giving it back, if you will. And then on the other one that I really, really liked, and this one isn't really sung too much, but he's in the first Home Alone. He's that polka player with the polka band. And the way he openly, I don't want to use the word charity, I'm going to anyways. He's just, hey, come on with us. We're going to rent a van. It'll be a good time. We're all uncomfortable anyways. Let's just have fun with it. And that really resonated with me of, if you ever speak to somebody that's not in the best moods or in a scenario like that, let's just laugh and have some fun while we're grinding through this bad time. And that really, really sat with me on my outlook on how to work with people and align views of, let's laugh at the misery together as opposed to be miserable together kind of thing. And that misery loves company kind of stuff.
Deep meaning from such an innocent, quick scene, didn't you?
Well, when you watch him interact and you watch her interactions with it in that scene, and you can see all those little nuances. By the end, she has her laughing. He's trying to get her to play an instrument, and she always like, fine, whatever. He keeps playing. Like, we need more. It's pretty much Ted Lasso, right? We need more Ted Lassos in the world, and those two things. Whenever I think of John Candy, those two scenes come to mind very much so.
Listen, I can't argue with any of that, and I agree. I agree with your entire sentiment about his minor role in Home Alone.
It was huge. It was very, very big for the little purpose it had. It was just the delivery. That's supposed to be the Christmas spirit, right? That was the whole purpose. He was in there to cheer her up throughout this horrible time, and everybody has to have more Christmas spirit on all 12 months, not just in December.
It's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Now we're all
thinking about that, right? Just kind of taking off a bit.
So much to me that I'm like, this is ridiculous.
I was thinking how sad I was like when Robin Williams died, man.
Please, that one really got me. I can't even handle it. Robin Williams has been overshadowing my last 2 weeks.
Oh, really? That's okay.
Right, because my friend who died by suicide, his parents felt like this was a very Robin Williams kind of thing,
I have a theory. Any comedians that do really good in dark roles in movies, they should be on watch at all times. Because I have a theory that most people that are in bad moods, that are in the comedy industry, and I have no proof of this, but my theory is, if I can make somebody laugh, I'm obviously not at the very bottom rung of life. I'm not at the very bottom because I made somebody laugh. So it's almost like a drug. A lot of individuals that go on hiatus from their work, it's almost like a workaholic without work. It can drive them nuts. Well, if you have somebody of that depression level and they're taking a break and not making anybody laugh, that's a very dangerous combo, in my opinion. Robin Williams was obviously, in my opinion, one of those individuals.
I mean, it could be, but we also found out that he had, some health issues that were of concern to him. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that ends up playing into things,
Yes.
and then we're just left never really knowing.
Yeah.
You know. But let's look at something positive. Ray, I agree 100% about the kindness that's needed today. That's why I try to always make people laugh. Either by my words or looks. Life is already hard. Let's lift each other up. Armed and dangerous and stripes were good too. Well, that's it. The marathon's gonna have to happen. Let's assemble the international brigade. We should. Oh my God, maybe I should do that for my next birthday, right? Just to because
John Candy Marathon.
Yeah, like do a John Candy Marathon, and we'll just do it across all time zones. And since my birthday is New Year's Day, I mean, like y'all are up anyway. Let's just be together.
Ooh,
that might be possible then for me.
You know,
you know what? If we get enough people on different time zones, maybe we won't all be available every time, but you can have guests on.
You know,
different times of that.
I'll find out the favorite movie of the Argentinian.
Do like a 12-hour stream.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can't do over 12 hours. So I'll do 2 12-hour streams because YouTube gets really upset.
Part 1 and part 2.
Right.
I love it.
YouTube flat out wrote, one of my buddies said, we're taking down your 24-hour stream. If you feel the need to do such a thing again, please end at 12 hours and start a new stream.
So you can have an AM stream and a PM stream. Midnight to noon, noon to midnight. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, but who's midnight will I start with?
Well, it would start with you.
No, because I'm not the first one to. So we would have to start in Beau's time zone because I think they start the New Year's first.
We do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So be it.
Oh, we'll work it out, man. I mean, yeah, I'll be on holidays during that time because that's when our work closes.
Cliff, you diabolical genius.
Yeah, it could be fun, and I'm half Canadian, so it works. And I've always loved John Candy.
Put the A in Canadian. I'm in.
I love it. And with that, let's just change it up a little bit.
Done. I'm intrigued. Let's do this.
So I don't know about you guys, but I at least have one fine Bussy Buster. J-Med has a Kickstarter for his book, Eric, right? And I participated in that. So like, please go check out Eric on.
The choice of print size is very interesting.
Yeah. Well, this is the ash can. He sent me the ash can with the prize I won for supporting him on social media, which is this beautiful Black Adam issue 12 of 12, art by John Jang, signed by John Jang in beautiful CGC 9.8 glory.
Delicious.
Exactly. And if I needed something to bust my pussy this week, and this one did it. Metaphorically speaking, a lot I'm waiting for you. So like but no one else has to. I don't think I went over like the warnings with you guys, so it's really fine.
No, you didn't. But hang on, give me a sec.
Oh, Beau's gonna get it. What's it gonna be, and how is it gonna be related to Ben Reilly? That's all I care about.
To Ben Reilly.
I just has to be related to Ben Reilly, and
as long as it's not 90s Ben Reilly. Like some of those.
No, it has to be 90s Ben Reilly. Damn it!
You washed your mouth out, sir. You washed your mouth.
You know what? I just had dental surgery, so I can't wash my mouth properly.
Ben Reilly, brother, all the way.
Hey, I like Ben Reilly. That Spider Clone saga in the 90s. I'm not knocking it. I'm just
you should have specified the Clone Saga, because we all know that was an overrun abomination. No, but outside of the Clone Saga, where he's just Ben Reilly being Spider-Man, that we're very supportive of.
Yeah, we're on the same page here. It's hard to separate them for me. I remember going through the 90s and going through that saga, and I read a lot of Wizard magazine, and they're like, we have a hard time defending this, but we're going to try. I liked Ben Reilly. I felt his peak. I loved him as Scarlet Spider. That was a very fresh image. The cool idea of the tights, but just all one red color, and then just a hoodie without sleeves. It was kind of like a bodybuilder look, but he's not built. He's very wiry, and it was really cool. him taking over Spider-Man for a while, and there was this confusion thinking Peter was the clone for a bit. I've got that first issue, and then there was a run on there where he fought Mysterio and a couple other people. Very interesting. And then it just kept going, and they didn't know how to end it, and they had to prolong it due to wanting the focus to be on Age of Apocalypse and then a bunch of other stuff. It was a tough go. But with that said, the character alone,
don't listen. Don't believe some of the later end lies, okay?
I'm about to go on a
they
massive
loved making money on that. They loved it.
yeah, it was. I love Ben Reilly, so I think he's a really cool concept. But Bo, let's hear this rant because I'm interested to hear the takes on this dynamic because I seldom get to talk about the Spider Saga dynamic.
Oh, you actually want me to do this? I don't.
Yeah. I love opinions on this kind of stuff.
Right. Well, okay. So the Clone Saga is what got me into being stuck to a storyline. Before that, it was just random comics, right?
Right.
So, and I was becoming a Spider-Man fan. Now, I loved Spider-Man for the same reasons everybody else did, and I happened to start reading it every month at the start of the Clone Saga. So here you are with this massive history that forces you to look into earlier comics like his parents and the one-shot Clone Saga. That was the original one. And as you're reading it and you're enjoying it, because I believe most people dug the beginning of the Clone Saga.
Yes.
To cut a long story short, during the 4 years that this hell was being unleashed on Peter, not just somebody in his mind coming to steal his life, not just his parents losing them again, not just Mary Jane being pregnant and then losing the baby, but he started to lose his mind a bit and he discarded the Peter Parker part of him and he became just the Spider. Right? Now, apart from Craven's Last Hunt and maybe one or two other storylines, you'd never seen Peter Parker go this dark before at that time. It was a new thing and it had me hooked because I dug what was going on. Now, during it, here's Peter Parker, Ben Reilly. He comes into it and it would have been so easy for him to just steal Peter Parker's life, steal his wife, steal everything around him. But instead, he pulls his hand down into the darkness and turns to Peter and says, "Let me lift you up." And Peter takes his hand and he lifts him up. And Ben Reilly reminds and shows Peter what being Spider-Man, and not just Spider-Man, but what being a real hero and a beautiful person actually is, who Peter is in his heart. And there was obviously a lot of twists and turns. Obviously, yes, it did go for too long. But Ben Reilly taught me as a, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, I can't remember exactly how old. Ben Reilly taught me about choosing my own morals and how to be a good person. And I'll always be thankful for that because before that, it was just superheroes and I loved them. But Ben Reilly taught me things, man. And I've just never had a hero ever be able to teach me that sort of stuff. Yeah, there was bits like that with Superman. Superman does a lot of those sorts of things throughout the years. And that's been a good help to my personality as well. But Ben Reilly was just, man, like, I'll just never be able to feel anything other than pure love for that character.
Yeah, that makes sense. I really like that dynamic, and you already mentioned it. It was reminding Peter to double down and choose to do good regardless.
Yeah.
And I mean, doing a good thing nowadays more so than ever, regardless what your belief, whether you believe it's a survival instinct or something else, but it's very easy to look out for number one. It's very hard to look out for somebody else. And that's a cool way you put it. He just kind of reminded Peter of that Spider-Man. Yeah. Power, responsibility, Uncle Ben. Do not let somebody else die because you let some robber go by. You don't need to see that again. Yeah, I'm completely on.
Plus, Amazing Spider-Man 400, even though it was retconned and Aunt May's alive, when she dies, that issue is so freaking perfect between Peter and May, between Ben and May, between Ben and Peter. It is just poetry on paper, and it is such a beautiful issue. And then at the end of it, when you get the big reveal, because the whole Clone Saga, you didn't know who the big baddie was, right? First it was Judas Traveler, then it was the Jackal, then it might have been Scryer, then it was the Green Goblin, Harry Osborn. And it wasn't until after 4 years, when you think the Clone Saga is over and Peter's gone and Ben is the new Spider-Man, all of a sudden you get this massive reveal that Norman Osborn is back. Yeah. And Norman Osborn had never been back, ever. This was his first
last he
time
was seen, he was impaled and killed in that classic.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong,
Friday 122.
If this happened today, it probably wouldn't have the shock value that it did back then. But back then, long characters that had stayed dead, if they came back, that was massive. And I remember, lastly,
go ahead.
I think I actually stopped buying Spider-Man for maybe like 2 or 3 months when I thought the Clone Saga ended and that reveal of Osborn, because I just couldn't keep affording it anymore. And I was at my comic book store and I saw the cover to Spider-Man number 75, which is where the Green Goblin fights Ben and Ben dies and all that.
Right.
And I looked at the reveal before that, and it's Norman Osborn with the scar in his chest, and he's like, I survived all this time. And my jaw dropped to the floor. And I just went, well, there goes all the money that I thought I was going to use to have some sort of a social life. I now need to continue buying Spider-Man because this is just...
That was a lot of comics for that story, man.
You know? God damn.
There was some real good stuff taken from it. It was just very unfortunate. I mentioned filler issues before. There was a lot of that going. Some of that was rough, but like you said, there was a lot of solid gems in there. Before that reveal with Norman Osborn, I mean, with the exception of a 92, I believe, which was Bane breaking the bat and Doomsday killing off Superman.
Well, it was all the same time.
Yeah, it was that Spider-Man with Norman Osborn was slightly after, but yeah, it was the same era.
No, the Clone Saga was around the same time as the death of Superman. It was a little bit after, but I mean that darkness in comics, Batman and Azrael, Superman and Doomsday, Spider-Man going dark, all of that was happening around the same period, because that's what everybody wanted at the time.
And before that, like you said, if a hero died, that was it. So for Norman Osborn to come back, or any character if they're killed, for Norman Osborn to come back, that was...
And this was also the time like when Stacy came back as a clone, and that had shock value.
You know what? That one didn't shock me as much.
Happened a million times now.
I think it was in Amazing Spider-Man, I think in the 130s or 140s. She did come back as a clone, but she just went and lived her life after that.
Yeah.
But these were all huge shockers. And nowadays, I mean, most heroes die at least 2 or 3 times a year now, kind of thing. Boy, just get up off my couch and I'm giving you an 80 slow cut. Yes. Yeah. One thing, hindsight looking back, because like you pointed, all these gems in it, the intentional prolonging hurt it. And a lot of will they, won't they with Peter's identity. Is he the clone? Is he not? If you could like cut that fat, hindsight 2020, of course, I think it would be more universally loved, as opposed to, in some cases, it's very divisive. A lot of people hate the Clone Saga, but it's a hard one for me just because it was dragged out so long. And
and that's fair enough.
Spider-Man lost a lot of popularity because of it. And I mean, more credit given where it's due. They tried something. It was gutsy. It was something different. So many things to talk about on that saga.
Do you know the villain Judas Traveler that was invented for the Clone Saga, and he was only in it for like the beginning one story, and then he just disappeared and you never saw him again? He recently appeared at the end of the Krakoa area in X-Men.
Oh, interesting.
Judas Traveler. Like,
hi guys, I'm back.
and in X-Men, and it's so weird because like I wanted Judas Traveler to come back for years, right? And to randomly see him in an X-Men book working with this whatever villain corporation was going after X-Men at the time, it's like, how are any X-Men fans reading today going to look at that character and go, oh, that's Judas Traveler from the Clone? No one's going to be doing that apart from people like me or
the deep
other people. Like
the deep,
God
deep
damn,
cuts.
What a weird choice. Anyway, my bussy buster. I got an advanced copy because I saw Aaron Mack for his Kickstarter, Anna, which is the first issue about his band that have got supernatural powers and all this, and it looks pretty cool. I did read issue 0 about a year ago, so I knew what I was getting myself in for. And I went and saw him the other day, and he gave me one of the covers that I purchased, and that is when they went on their winter European tour.
Ooh,
Look at that.
That is the cover. And it's a wraparound as well, and
Very cool.
And the cover's like, it feels like acetate, but it's not. You can just tell it's like some sort of good format where
I can see the glossy finish on it.
Yeah, it's not your normal stock standard paper, but the art is just fantastic. Anna comes to our dimension and recruits these members of the band, and
that's cool.
It's more of just and then they've got their 2 cats, which are their 2 cats in real life, taking their own personalities as well. And let's see, and then you've got like a bit of horror elements to it as well.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good, man. I think the Kickstarter's it's over now, yeah. But still, they'll be doing issue 2. These are the guys that made Gods Among Men, Sonation Comics. And it's really good. I really enjoyed it, man. I'm really glad I got it. So that's my Pussy Buster.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a worthy one. I love how it's like, it's our winter tour edition.
Yeah.
But seriously, they've been touring like crazy, so it makes great.
If you give me 20 seconds, I can grab my issue.
You get that.
I'll be right back.
Matt H. Being serious, great art, music, comics, movies, etc. can move you. It has power to change your mood, really to help you heal or keep you company through tough times. It's not just entertainment.
It's not just entertainment.
Oh, Jay says Brooklyn. Bo, the place looks really great, by the way.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, thanks a lot. I had it too far away originally. I wish I could show like the whole thing in like one frame, but you can't. And when I get more villain books, I'm obviously going to put them up there, so the statues and stuff's going to have to move. But I'm waiting for more shelves so I can finish the heroes room, and then we'll be doing a tour. So
that's really
I'm
cool,
pretty happy
man.
with it. I'm pretty happy with
looking
it.
really good. I the one that
meantime, just keep working out before the tour video.
Have you not seen my omnibus workout video?
I have, but I want you to be like in peak condition, and if you could wear like a nice V-neck too, so your titties are popping, like that would be great.
All right, I'm bigging me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you what, my Kickstarter campaign, if I surpass 44,000 US, I will squat 400 pounds for reps. That's what I will do. That's what I'll do. So the number 4 is in space.
Careful what you wish for, man.
No one said let's throw a gauntlet. Not one
hashtag did I stutter.
Not one person here was like,
I am. That's me.
No one here. You threw your own gauntlet down. Why?
I think you're gonna be sad. Ray. We did a gauntlet the other day on Aussieverse where we said if our charity got to $150, I would have to go with the people that were on the show, which are martial arts experts, and go to their dojo and basically fight them. And now we're organizing that, and nice. I have to film that and show that on Aussieverse. So
to clarify, it doesn't say you have to fight by their rules, right? So I would be bringing like 6-shooter, 9mm. We call it gun kata around here. We're going to recreate Equilibrium with Christian Bale.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so for my issue, which I am definitely a fan of, this is another Philbo Publishing moment. This is Arcane Syndicate. I still have to take a picture of this. I
love that book.
I've read the entire script for all the issues, and my goodness, man, something about classic Universal monsters as a team. There's a lot of expectations and many different fan bases. And this book This one checks all the boxes. It gives great homage to the old content, the old movies. It gives great respect to any type of angle you could look at these monsters on, but gives it a flair. So if you have these paranormal creatures that solve paranormal problems for the government, it's just well put together. And that would be mine. This came in the mail up here in Winterpeg, I think 2 weeks back now. I'm going to take a picture of it and throw it on social media. But if you want a nice, refreshing take on classic monsters, just picture like Shield agents from Marvel and combine that with the Monster Squad, and you've got a rough idea of this story. It's pretty cool.
It is.
I got Comic Toby asking me like if I could pick up 400 pounds. No. I can bench 225. That's my
That's
bench.
pretty awesome, man. That's good.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know
bench.
I don't know about this 400-pound.
I will squat 400 pounds, 4 reps if we hit $4,000. The final stretch goal is 4,500, but if we hit 4,000 even, I will squat 400, 4 reps. So reps, that's very general. It'll be more than 1. So it's at least 2, but it'll happen. I'm just getting messages. Phil's saying, I was just giving him an update of the current, we're at 1,200 right now, approximately. Yes. So
Matt says, the goal I will squat, making an inhuman sound, not a Black Bolt reference, think old man pain, and struggle to get back up. I'll find myself fallen, unable to get up, and no life alert.
I'm telling you right now, and this is a bold statement, not many will agree, especially not many meatheads, but there's nothing more manly than a squat. And I stand by that statement.
I have no comment to that.
Good times.
I think Cliff should answer that one.
Yeah, he's
Do you agree, Cliff?
About what?
I was saying there's nothing more manly than a squat. It's one of the most manliest things a man can do, but that's just my opinion.
Oh, yeah, that is your opinion.
I love it. That's great.
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna pull back the veil. I have 2 chats going from 2 very sad things that have occurred in the past couple of weeks, and I keep just checking into my friends and keep bobbing back to you guys. And I just read something just so terribly sad that I just forgot where I even was.
Cliff, we got to dial you in. Two words. John Candy. There we go. We're good now.
Yes.
John Candy. There you are.
Absolutely.
2 good words to put you in the mood. So when's your next issue being planned, right?
Issue number 3. The short answer is I'm not crossing that bridge until issue number 2 is done and fulfilled.
So you said that. You said the exact same thing when I asked you about 2 when 1 was coming out. So that tells me that issue 3 shouldn't be that far away because there wasn't that big a gap between 1 and 2.
Well, 1 and 2, 1 was last year, 2 was this year. It really just depends. The only bottleneck is when I get the stuff done. So when the talent is available, when I save up the money and pay them. So funding, it's not a huge bottleneck, but it's something to consider. It's a variable. This is just a matter of just executing the plan now. Where before issue 1, it's a first time. It feels like a lot. This is only one of the issues. I got to do this 2 more times. Now I'm on the verge of finishing 2 of 3. Now it feels like a home stretch. But with that said, I'm not thinking of the home stretch yet because I'm on the home stretch to getting to the home stretch. I got to get this Kickstarter done. I've got lots to be said and done here.
Fair enough. And will you be doing a collected edition? I'll keep my pledge if you say you are. Yes. Okay.
Here. You know what? This is pretty interesting. Phil Russert, he's gone into distribution, much like Diamond. And my trade paperback, Phil has told me, is going to be distributed accordingly. So it's going to be in local comic shops in North America. But I don't know if we're going to go Kickstarter with it first. We'll probably make it different then, like give it reason to be on Kickstarter as opposed to, well, that'll be an LCS soon. What's that?
I just purchased his omnibus.
No, that's 6 issues of Tragedy. That's Arcane Syndicate. That's the Dynamics. There's a lot going on there. That's like over 400 pages, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and it looks good.
Oh man, that's I've read all 6 issues of Tragedy. I've read Arcane Syndicate. It's nice to have different people providing stuff. You just get different flavor of life, flavor of talent. It's refreshing, you know. So that omnibus is just. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I loved how Phil messages me. I think it was me and Sharif, because I know it wasn't just me, but he messages us with the 3 different spine designs for the omnibus and says, which one do you think? And I felt so special because he knows that collected editions people are all about those spines, baby. And all 3 of them were good, but there was one that just stood out that little bit better. And if it was Sharif, we both agreed straight away, and it made it look like an actual book, you know, that sort of a spine. So it's really cool, and I can't wait to be able to put that on my Kickstarter section.
That's cool, man. That's really, really cool. There's just so much. There's so much unnoticed talent out there, and it deserves to. It deserves to get that light. So Phil doing this distribution, the way he worded it to me is he wants to give the metaphorical little guy a chance to get in these shops. Right now, Diamond pretty much, I don't want to use the word per se monopoly, but in order to get in shops, Diamond is one of your best options, and they decide whether you're going in there or not.
And they're hanging on a thread on the edge of destruction.
Yeah. So why do you have to go through them specifically? There should be options out there for other distributors. So I think what Phil's doing here is smart, man.
I think what he's doing is great.
Yeah.
I also think we whatever. I can't get into real thoughts.
We're here for the Kickstarter and fake thoughts. That's what we're about here today, ladies and gentlemen.
Fake thoughts, you said?
Yeah, fake thoughts.
No,
real thoughts.
No, man. Real
surface
thoughts.
Surface thoughts.
No, not surface. We can go deep. I'll tell you why. We were just
we cannot. No,
John Candy, Home Alone. There's a deep thought. There are thoughts we could talk about. There are. I'm pointing at the screen. I should be doing this, I guess. But there's relevant things that are deeper and more important and more universal, such as being nice to others, like I was saying with John Candy and Home Alone. So we've got options. We got options.
Oh, James put a hug icon up.
Thank
you.
There you go, James. Man. Yeah. I mean, what's more universal than losing a loved one? So Phil with Pop, you're obviously going through some bit there, Cliff. Bo and myself, we both have lost a family member, not in the too long ago. Well, Bo far more recent than me, but I mean, what's more universal than something like that? And that is a deep thing. And it's a very age-old story. When something bad happens, what good can you make from it? And how can you redirect that emotion, that sadness, or the over-umbrelling emotion is passion. Being sad and being angry, they all come from that same emotion. It's passion. How do you redirect that passion? Right?
Let me just tell you.
Yes.
I really enjoyed finishing the Deviants, right? And there's this moment at the end, and he rewraps a gift because the incarcerated individual who's probably not guilty, this writer brings him a gift, the main character, and the guards opened it and mangled the wrapping paper, and so he rewraps it. He rewraps it perfectly, and he says to the main character, "Do you mind if I just don't unwrap it yet. I haven't wrapped a present in 50 years. And he goes, I don't mind at all. He goes, that's what I like most about Christmas, Michael. Anything can be made beautiful. And anyhow, it's just such a lovely egg and such a beautiful piece of art because, and it's funny because this is a very graphic murder story / coming of age story. But every time the book is advertised, it's like The Deviant, a chilling horror by James Tynion, a Christmas story. And I always go, a Christmas story, but it is. It just, this is the setting, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, Matt. And my condolences. So, anyhow,
that's some deep stuff, man.
Let's do something fun by picking on other people's comics. As usual, it's Rated or Hate It, brought to us by Cover Price. It's the Cover Price Top 10 from 1 year ago. So let's see what was popular back in 2024. We start at number 10 with Avengers Twilight number 1. Ray, as the guest, you decide. Do we rate it or hate it?
Are we rating this for the way we felt when it came out or now?
Period.
Overall?
Because, sorry, Dan, you go first, buddy.
No, I was just going to say, I was asking the same question. Is it your overall feeling of it, or pre, or now?
Yeah,
no,
so I think
overall, it's a year later, dust has settled. Okay. What are we feeling?
So this had a bit of hype behind it. And when it was coming, because I'm actually subscribed to Zdarsky's newsletter, he was talking about it for ages, and it had a lot of hype behind Zdarsky fans. And on top of that, in this sort of recent day and age, we don't get that many mini-series from Marvel anymore that are a dark dystopian sort of different alternative universe, which I know I've had a lot, but when you think about it, we really don't get them that much these days. They either happen in the main story, and anyway, the point is that I think this one was pretty hot when it was coming out. Alex Ross doing the cover, that's 10 out of 10. It's a beautiful looking cover. So I think when it came out, this would have been hot. Now, it's obviously still a beautiful cover. The story was good. It deserved the hype. It was a good read. Is it worth $10 and $60 graded? Well, yeah, I guess US. Yeah, sure.
On a scale of 1 to 5, baby.
Oh, sorry. This is a 4.
Very good. Ray, scale of 1 to 5.
So the story arc is like, correct me if I'm wrong. It's an older, like later in era. So Steve Rogers is a little long in the tooth, correct?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So, as I've already revealed, I haven't been following this too much, but I have a reason for that. Ever since there's varying levels of success on this specific theme, the theme being multiverse, the theme being alternate realities, the theme being, I'm kind of multiversed out. So when I hear this is a new thing in the future, I'm sure it's great. I'm not the target audience for it. So for me, I can't even rate it because it does not hit with me. So I haven't even read it to have an opinion to rate it. It's a tough one to rate.
Just your opinion of the cover then.
Cover? It's Alex Ross. I mean, the guy could like wipe his backside and paint with that material and it would be magic. Like the guy has like very, very world caliber talent. Nothing short of that. So I mean, the cover alone, it's a 5.
I'm all in. It's a 5. I love this shit. I love the series. I love the hell out of it. I needed a nice little adventure. I loved it then. I love it now. And you want to know what else, Bo? I didn't know shit about that newsletter or nothing. This thing came out of nowhere, slapped me across the face, told me to pick it up, and I did, and I got the Masa Fiera cover too. I love it. I highly recommend. It's wonderful. Next up is also near and dear to my heart because X-Men 97 was so on fire at this time last year. Avengers Angle number 10, the first appearance of Rogue.
Yes.
So I recently read this issue because I realised I hadn't before, and it is what it is. It's a normal issue, I guess, for the time. I hate the cover. I think it's way too busy. It's way too much.
Too busy. I was going to say yes.
It's just it's crap, but it's an important issue. So $87 raw, $5.40 graded. Yeah, I mean, it is Rogue. She's pretty important. 1 out of 5. This would be a 2.5. Can we do halves?
If you insist.
Between 0 and 5. 2.99634117.
It's because I go 5 is something I must have. That's how good it is. 4 is like something that I think is awesome, but I don't necessarily have to buy it. 3 is good. Well, maybe a 3 then.
It's Rogue's first appearance, for God's sake.
I know, but that cover, bro.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. The interior is fabulous. The double-page spread of Spider-Woman catching freaking Ms. Marvel is fabulous. Much less the fact that I enjoy the story altogether.
I don't remember that. Okay.
Ray, what did you give it?
I give it a 4, and the only reason I don't grade it higher is because, as Bo was pointing out, it's a very busy cover. It obviously is trying to convey a lot, and there's a lot to be said, and it's an annual, so it's a bigger comic.
King size annual.
Yeah, it's a king size. It's this thing's huge, so there's a lot to be said to get you in. In my opinion, there's got to be a way to show all of these characters in one image. That's a tall order, mind you. But even with that said, I think that result would be far superior to what we have here, where by the time I read and look at one picture, there's still 4 other pictures to go through. I'm already turned off by a cover. Cover should be like slap you in the face, like Amazing Fantasy number 15, first appearance of Spider-Man. He's holding a line. He's carrying a thug. He says a thing. I know what I'm getting myself into. Tell me more. This, it looks like it's missing the cover. It looks like a page with panels on it.
Yeah.
It looks like somebody tore the cover off. And so that's the only reason I don't go higher than 4, because it actually hurts itself with the cover. With that said, Rogue, pivotal character. It's one of the best ones where an individual that decides to change ideologies and switch sides and is a staple, an anchor in the X-Men, just like Wolverine or any other non-original X-Men. When they came in, they're in to stay. And I mean, Rogue has such a huge fan base, so it's got this huge Rogue has this huge following to her. So I mean, how could you not put a high grade on this book? And the only answer to that is with a terrible cover.
Look who's watching.
Hey, Phil.
Hey, Phil. So
we're just talking about Papa, Phil, and we're talking about Arcane Syndicate a little bit. We're talking about this bad boy for a little bit.
Fabulous. Obviously, it's Rogue, and this is me. So, like, I'm going to give it a solid 4. I'm not going to try and defend this cover for anything. I love everything that happens in the issue. Everything. I love everything.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great issue.
Next up, Supervillain Team Up number 5, the first appearance of Shroud, who turned out this time last year to have been the new Moon Knight.
I don't know this one too well.
So Shroud is like Marvel's answer to Batman. This is his first appearance, and of course, he has access to his powers give him access to the dark dimension, and of course, when Mark Spector was last killed off or incapacitated, the new Moon Knight turned out to be this guy.
Yeah, that's very interesting dynamic. That's Namor in the bottom left, or is that Shroud?
Yes, it is. That's Namor.
That is Namor. Okay, so first of all, I have a soft spot for Fantastic Four. I love the villains. Even if I hated everything about the Fantastic Four is in regards to the team, I love the villain roster. I love Mole Man, Doctor Doom, Namor, who's sometimes good guy, sometimes bad guy. He just doesn't have his ideologies just don't align with anybody 100% all the time. Sometimes he's a good guy or considered a bad guy. So this, unlike the last issue we just looked at with the first appearance of Rogue, yeah, there's a lot going on in this issue, but it shows it in one very dynamic image. Why is Namor lying down? Is he injured? And if we,
Well, he's restrained.
He's restrained. Okay, yeah. So, oh yes, I see it now. Over his biceps and over his waist there. He's held down. We have Doom firing at the Thing. We have a sense of urgency from Reed, who's always hesitant to go into combat and always swings his first punch a little too late. What's this all about? When I see this image, I want to look into the book. As I was saying with the Mad Caps issue 2, my covers, I like them reflecting something that's happening in the issue. This does that in spades. So on that alone, just on first impressions and like cosmetic, I give that a 5. In regards to the story, I don't know it well. I can't grade that.
Anyhow, me owning 2 copies of the issue, intimately knowing what's going on, and being a proud fan of the Shroud, because no one else is. And I was so happy that he was doing something recently. I'm going to give it a solid 3. It's clearly not for everybody, but Supervillain Team Up was a fun run, and I really enjoyed this book. And the Shroud has a great story arc within this series.
Right on.
Bo, any thoughts?
Sorry about being distracted. I just got my comic delivery delivered. So, so as soon as we're done with this show, I think I might go live on mine and just do a little unboxing. What is the specific thing with this issue, first of all? Because I missed that part
of the Shroud.
Oh, the first appearance of the Shroud. Okay, yeah, you're right. Who gives a shit?
This time last year was revealed to be the new Moon Knight.
Right, that was the hype behind it. Okay, so it still doesn't mean anything then. So for me, I mean, yeah, I love Namor. I love Doctor Doom. I'm a fan of Fantastic Four. You know what? This, like DM said, this does make you want to open it and read it. But for me, yeah, I guess this is about a 2.
Everybody just goes quiet. I love it. 2, and then just crickets.
Come on.
Crickets start chirping.
Next up, number 200, The Trial of Magneto.
Trial of Magneto, which if I remember correctly, this happened in X-Men 97 as well, yeah? If I remember correctly?
Yes.
Yeah. You go ahead, Bo.
I'm worried about Rogue's direction because it looks like she's not going to be able to stop in time before hitting that floor. But it is an iconic cover. It's the first time I ever saw that Magneto costume because I wasn't reading X-Men at the time. And it did make me go, ooh, what's that about? Because you've never seen Magneto in anything else. Yeah, look, I reckon this is about a 3 for me.
I will also give it a 3.
The one thing you're mentioning, Rogue going too quick down. If you look at her streak lines, they're curved, so she does have a little bit of saving grace in that velocity.
Still looks a bit far, a little too close.
Yeah, a little too steep, but it's not direct. But yeah, she will be definitely skipping on the ground as she arcs up.
Okay, so they're all just fighting, and Magneto's just standing there. He's just like,
and cuffed up.
Woe is me.
Yeah, that was the original look of Rogue.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is not the original look of Rogue.
That is not the original?
No, remember, she looks like a crazy old swamp hick bitch for like 20 appearances before she shows up at the X-Men's door and they softened up her image real fast.
Rogue,
okay?
aka Swamp.
You remember her beating Dazzler through the streets? All right. She was like Solomon Grundy looking like your great Aunt Linda. It was awful. And Dazzler was like, oh my God, who is this woman coming after me? She had to hire Luke Cage to protect her. No one wants to remember this. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I give this a 3. Maybe a little bit more, but not much. I
Well
give it a 3. The art for its time, this was a tricky time with for some reason there's a certain era of X-Men where the quality did not evolve with the time. And I mean, costumes change and stuff, things look great, but it just seems to be lacking a certain thing, especially the background characters. Like Magneto is the focus and it's got a lot of detail in, but it almost looks like when I was a early adolescent and I draw characters, it would be the shapes. You'd have the dimensions down and stuff, but it lacks depth outside of the color. So yeah, I give it a 3.
Fair enough from everybody. And I'm not going to comment on my feelings of that era of X-Men art, but we all know.
There was room for improvement.
I'm just up to Kitty Pryde's and the White Queen's first appearance.
Ooh, you're having a gay old time at the Phoenix Saga.
13 and a half years old. I'm trying to work out how Kitty and Colossus end up being a thing later.
Well,
it doesn't make sense.
I keep forgetting how old he is, but I like the first time that there's any chemistry between the two of them, Aurora's a little upset about it.
Right, okay. Because in the issue that I just read where they met, Colossus' thought bubble is, why is she looking at me like that? And I'm like, this can't be happening already, can it? Because she's literally 13 and a half. It says it in the book.
By the way, how about read the opening of Dazzler series and tell me how many times her consent is violated, all right? These horny old men were writing Marvel Comics left and right, and now that we're looking at it through a modern lens, it's real easy to see how problematic this shit was.
Yeah, there's certain dynamics that didn't age well, but
Homegirl just came from being a temporary herald of Galactus, and I'm talking about Dazzler, is passed out on her couch. The only reason she even made it back is because Galactus's little servant was like, oh, I feel really bad for her. I should get her home, Look at Phil dropping facts.
19.
So
older.
So anyhow, she gets dropped off on her couch. She is whacked out like on her couch, right? Her dad and every other man in her life are all there looking for her. And they're like, look at her sleeping here. And her father, like the biggest jackhole ever, is like, oh, I can't believe her, rah, rah, rah. Like he is like the most disgusting and disturbing, abusively unsupportive father that comic books could have ever written. And they wrote it like this is everyone's dad. I can't, right? So like he storms out of the apartment first. How are you going to storm out of the apartment with your grown-ass daughter with her titties almost hanging out on the sofa? You're going to leave all these men in there in that room? Like everything I hate about mankind is her dad. But then when it's all said and done, all these dudes who've been looking for her left her apartment. They're all disappointed that she's passed on the couch. And her record producer friend or whatever he is, he gives her a kiss before he leaves. This is supposed to feel good. Dazzler, damn it, poor Dazzler. Poor freaking Dazzler. I mean, like, my God. And let me not even get into it. How old was Sue when she married Reed? Okay, because Sue was much younger than Reed, too. That was another one. But anyhow, number 6 on our list, Galacta, daughter of Galactus, which of course saw a spike last year because Marvel Rivals.
So this one annoyed me because I held onto this issue for so many years, waiting for this to be important somehow. I just had a feeling. And I gave up on it about probably 2 years ago now when I was selling other comics. And then all of a sudden it has a price hike, of course, because of Marvel Rivals. Look, it's a pretty dumb issue. It's not really in continuity, but I guess somewhere it is. It's a fun little book, so it's okay. As far as the importance of it, no, okay, Marvel Rivals, but really, and second, the cover. I mean, the cover's good. the cover's good. I can't really fault the cover.
It's a dynamic layout.
Yeah. But my rating, probably a 2.
I will go with a 2 as well. Because there's not much else to say here.
Well, this is my thing. So Galactus's head on a girl's body. I get it. Daughter of Galactus. For me, you just mentioned Dazzler, so I'll use that as the example. Imagine my head on Dazzler's body and then buy my comic. I give it a 0. I'm not interested.
Good for you. Good for you. I'm throwing a merciful 2 because there's an ounce of relevance for her right now.
Yeah.
Moving right along. And speaking of relevance, it's always relevant, but is it always fair market value? Spawn #1 by Todd McFarlane. Rate it or hate it?
So yeah, you go ahead first, Bo. I'll keep it concise.
It is in my opinion, it's an important book.
Yes.
I mean, it's the first Spawn, for crying out loud. So yeah, it's definitely important. And for its time, I think the cover was. I mean, even now, the cover's still very good. I mean, who doesn't like a cape swirling around their bodies? So out of 5, look, for me, this is a 4. I think this is something that I don't have to have, but I can certainly understand why other people feel that way and why it would be very important in their collection.
Yeah. For me, well, first and foremost, let's get the obvious out of the way. McFarlane's art for his time was revolutionary. And as you said, this cover, if you had no context to this character and you released this cover today, like, dude, that's a statement. I mean, there probably would be some upgrades here and there, but in regards to like anatomy, dynamic, one thing McFarlane has always talked about is adding different layers to the drawing. So he said once, if you cover up somebody's face, well, that arm becomes a layer, but if you tilt the hand out, there's another layer. He does that a lot. As you can see, his hand, the one that's not glowing green, is cast out to give that depth in the picture. Image Comics and this comic here, they were revolutionary and they were statements. This really represents a specific era where artists got more respect. It was also the beginning, this started and led up to the beginning of a heavy decline on story where everybody focused on the art. I'm not saying that was bad, but there was definitely some growing pains there where by the time you got into the early 2000s, people started to focus more on story. I have to categorize things amongst this comic. The art, top tier. The starting Image Comics and showing Marvel and DC that they're not invincible, that somebody can come in and do something better if they get too big for their britches. 5, big statement there. A lot was said for the artists and getting more respect within these industries. The story, this is the part that I saved for the end because I needed to overly compliment this thing for the greatness it is. The stories are sometimes hard to read with Todd's stuff. He's openly admitted when he wanted to leave Amazing Spider-Man, they said, well, we'll give you your own thing. We'll give you Spider-Man #1. He says, well, my writing isn't going to be that great. He openly talks about his own stories. He wants to always... he said he hated when he drew for somebody and it was like an alien invasion in Central Park and every citizen was out in that area watching. He has to draw all these details. For when he did Spider-Man, his own run, it was always like he jokes and says like 2 people in a cave. Not a lot of details. So the things he was drawing were very focused. This story hurts and more credit given to Todd McFarlane. He obviously realized this and started hiring writers for these stories. So yeah, there's a bunch of things to categorize. If you take the story away, I give it a 5. If you compartmentalize story alone, I give it a generous 2.
Oh,
so it's a very bold statement. I like everything about this, but even Todd admits His storytelling isn't the best, and that's why he hires accordingly. And I don't want to combine those two things and bring down the value of this comic because it is so great on so many different levels.
This is my most off the rails rated or hated ever. Okay, so let me break this down. All right. Iconic imagery,
Yes.
Father, bonus points, he's Canadian. All right. This book has a lot to say.
Yes.
Price point where it is now, perfect. Why? Because there are over 16,009.8 on the goddamn CGC census. Do not pay more than $120 for this shit, okay? Unless it is so hard for you to come by that you are in Satan's twat that you need to get it delivered to you there, okay? And God help you with the new tariffs, all right? So that said, love it, iconic, Todd. And you know what? It is a captivating story, even though he's not the greatest storyteller. There's still enough here to get.
I agree.
Back. So I'm going with a 4 because I feel like 4 is absolutely, best because Spawn is not going to be for everybody, So 4, it's a 4 for me. I mean, I could even be convinced of a 5, but do never overpay for this book. Over 16,009.8 on the census. Never overpay for this book.
Cliff, I got a question, and I apologize in advance. Could you say that this issue is terrific?
And with that, number 4 on our list, Uncanny X-Men 239, the direct edition. We get Madeline Pryor as the Goblin Queen right on the cover, and Sinister on the cover for the first time as well.
Yeah, that's who's the artist to this?
Oh my god, is it even necessary for the
Yes, it is. I like
the
it.
Epicness of what this is in a moment of X-Men time.
I mean, lots of cool things came out. You know what? I'm just gonna throw it a 4. Forget the art. The content is more
art
important.
And cover by Mark Silvestri and Dan Green.
2.
Yep, and written by Chris Claremont. A 2, Bo? Okay, so this is a 4 for me because I can appreciate, art and talent and the beauty of the Inferno saga, which is just beautiful and epic. Do you own the omnibuses of this?
I do.
Have you read them?
I'm not up to it yet. I'm reading it all from start. I've told you
know
that.
What?
I've read X-Men 1 and 2. I've read the Hidden Years.
Your score is nullified.
Now I'm up to volume 2. Okay, that is what I'm saying.
Score is nullified. Score is nullified. You get no score. You are not allowed to score until you have come back and have read.
But I can judge it based on the cover.
This is not rated or hated. Judge it by a goddamn cover. That's not.
It is if you haven't read it.
If you haven't read it, then you could just pass on it.
I'm not passing on it.
Cliff, I got a challenge for you. Every time you nullify one of us, we'll just change your icon. So instead of you, just an icon, and it's a picture of Reed holding the ultimate nullifier. Be like, judgment is passed. You don't count.
Who did they think were in the 20s through 30s? Is it a reference to who?
Me, because I'm 47.
I always thought you were about in your 20s, though, 30s.
We're all in our 40s, right?
Moving on.
Cliff, these people are telling you look good for your age. That's what they're saying.
That's what I hope so. I mean, I am beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting from you.
My secrets, I have 2 secrets. I have 2 secrets to staying young. Number 1 is not having children. And number 2, is the loads I have swallowed. All right, moving right along.
The fountain of youth, pun intended.
Yeah. Next up, this one is a real favorite of mine. The next one, because it's somewhere on my wall.
Get ready for it. I'm ready.
All right. Oh no. What is happening? Who am I right now? Like, what is this?
You have to stop talking about your youthful tricks. You're distracted.
Exactly. I love a good trick. It's X-Men number 4, the first appearance of Omega Red.
Omega Red, Jim Lee.
Yeah, some Jim Lee greatness.
Yes.
Rate it or hate it, folks.
That is a 4 for me. That's a great cover, and it's Omega Red. So that's all you need to say.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement. Exact same. Like
Wow.
I'm a sucker for this style of art. I think a lot of people call it the gunslinger view, where you see the person's hand in view and then you see the opponents in the background. When somebody describes this, Tragedy has this type of look on one of its covers. Yeah, Omega Red is underrated, definitely. And one of the most iconic views for me with this style is the original X-Men, regardless of whether it's a good movie or not. When Wolverine and Sabretooth are fighting on top of Statue of Liberty and he ejects his claws, it is that imagery. It's reversed, but it's the same view style. And I just love that because you see the reaction of one and you see the threat of the other, and poop's about to hit the fan and splatter in big chunks, and it's going to be awesome. You know, like, yeah, I agree. 4.
And of course, I'm extremely biased with my double-signed copy that's 32 years old, straight from my childhood, looming in the background. But in fairness, I'm just going to give it a solid 4. And yes, Omega Red, doesn't get the proper love. This is why we shouldn't be oversaturated with characters sometimes, and it kind of backfires. But anyhow, I love it. It's a beautiful memento to me. Lots of love for it. Next up, number 2 on our list, first appearance of Sinister, Uncanny X-Men 221.
Well, I'm a huge Havoc fan, so I'm sold right there. That's getting a 4.5.
That's great.
So I think that has to get a 4 just alone on first appearance of Sinister, really.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I like the cover. I think I like the other one more, but it is still a good cover. But
Wolverine
4.
flying away from radiation burns. I mean, shut up and take my money.
It's still, he's got hot claws too on the cover.
Yep.
And it is also on Mark Silvestri. So there you go. I too join in on the fun by giving it a 4.
I thought that'd be worth more graded, to be honest.
Well, again, it had that hot moment in the sun, but as all spec, what goes up must come back down.
So X-Men 97, obviously the influence on a lot of these books.
Yeah. And then if season 2 can't live up to its own hype, we in danger, girl.
Well, what's going to happen is I bet you first appearance of Apocalypse, that's going to go up, because if you see spoiler alert to anybody who hasn't watched X-Men 97, a bunch of them get thrown back into ancient Egypt, and well, some of them anyways, but that'll probably be one of the ones that goes up when season 2 drops.
Yeah, but and of course the Age of Apocalypse probably as well.
I bet you that's going to be the twist at the end of season 2. I think that's going to be the setup for issue 3 being Age of Apocalypse, because that's the 90s, right? That makes sense.
But they already did that.
A 2-parter kind of sort of version of that, but it really wasn't about Apocalypse.
Yeah. So the potential's there. I'm not saying that's the way they're going, but if it did, I wouldn't be surprised.
Next.
In the meantime, in our number one position, and if you guys don't remember the title of this issue, it's really important. It's the Uncanny X-Men 168, and the issue is called Professor Xavier is a Jerk.
Is a jerk, yes.
Yes.
This is where she leaves, yes?
She has been ordered to leave the X-Men, join the ranks of the New Mutants. Kitty is not happy with her mentor's decision. Wolverine begins a leave of absence from the team, and Xavier begins to adjust to his new body that enables him to walk. Plus, the deadly Sidran hunters return, last seen in X-Men 154. And in Alaska, Scott runs into a very familiar face. First appearance of Madeline Pryor.
Aha. So, again, X-Men 97. That makes sense why this was up in value.
of course. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the era.
Yeah, I think this is a great cover. I really dig it. And who isn't a fan of Kitty?
How
But-
old is? Go ahead. I'm getting ahead of
Oh,
myself.
well, you're going to say how old was she there?
Yes.
Well, I'm up to issue about just before the Dark Phoenix saga kicks off. So about 130, 129, something like that. So you'd imagine what at the most, like I don't know how much they aged them in that time, but it's only 38 issues later. So I doubt she's that much older.
So she's basically high school.
Yeah.
Images like this, I'm not knocking it. This is a me problem. When it comes to minors, I'm not saying this is intentionally suggestive, but minors and stuff like this, I tend to lean away from. Putting the cover aside, there's lots of cool things going on. Like Scott's in Alaska. I believe that's where he's from originally.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. I think when they did her as 13 and a half, I think they regretted that straight away. Like as soon as,
Yes.
you know what I mean? They're like, shit, we should have made her at least 16, you know, because that would have been a lot more logistical.
I think she's aged up by this issue. You know, and I think I don't know. There's a bunch of things that have happened to Kitty that are supposed to we're supposed to believe that some time has moved on. Obviously, in modern issues, she's a grown ass woman, right?
Yeah.
Back then, like they just kept doing little time jumps, like, oh, Kitty's a teenager, you know. But anyhow, you know what? I hear what you're saying about the cover, but I actually like this cover because of the claw marks. Because she's clearly in the danger room.
It looks like she's got two shiners.
Yeah, the shiners. I love that. I love her hair, of course, and I love that the new. She just kept thinking the New Mutants were the kids, and they beat her ass, and I love it. I love it. They're
Yeah,
like, oh, you can phase through everything. Yeah.
No, I
was a drama queen.
Yes, she is. Putting the cover aside, I think it's a solid 4. And that's, of course, assuming her age of my concern, but that's a separate, no pun intended, a separate issue.
Yeah. I'm going all in on a 4 because I just love this era of X-Men. And if you aren't with me in loving Professor Xavier as a jerk, then I don't know why. And that was our cover price top 10 retrospective closing out. All right. Does anyone have final homework to reveal, or are we all set?
Final homework. I mentioned Invincible earlier. Is everybody caught up on that show?
I love Invincible. I'm caught up. No one else matters in this regard.
No, I have not seen the final season yet.
Okay, so what I will say without giving any spoilers away, I liked season 1 a lot better than season 2. I was mildly disappointed with season 2. Season 3 leans more back to how season 1 was. So if you didn't like season 2, season 3, I mean, I still like season 1 the best, but season 3 swings back to that level, in my opinion. I liked 3 a lot better than 2. One of my favorite characters, my top 2 favorite characters in that show, Robot and Cecil. They are hands down my favorite. I don't show this one too much on webcam, but Cecil here. I don't know if you can see that right there.
No, I can't. I'm ruining everything. Hold on. There we go.
Right there. I don't know if you can. Oh, hold on. There we go. Right there.
Did Cecil do that to you?
No, but when I see that, nobody, unless I point that out in public, nobody usually notices that. But me, every time I look in the mirror, that's like the first thing my eyes go to. So when I see Cecil, I'm like, that's me, man. But putting that joke aside, Cecil is like, one could argue he is the Nick Fury equivalent of that universe, but I don't think they're anything the same in regards to personality. And I really, really like how Cecil is in this continuous flow of how can I weaponize things or utilize things to the advantage of what I'm representing. be it reformed bad guys, captured bad guys. I realized my mic was still up. Captured bad guys. Getting new and upcoming heroes. And again, no spoilers for season 3, but what heroes can we use in this scenario with all the cards given and all the things that are happening? Well, what do we have in the B list? What do we have in the C list? What do we have for, my right hand just found out he's actually more robot than like human and all that stuff that you find out in season 2. But like, man, Cecil, my favorite 2 episodes of him is episode 2 in the first season, when he's helping out the they're not quite yet Guardians of the Globe, and they're fighting the Flaxons in that temporal dimension invasion.
Yes.
And then everything he does in the second last episode of season 1 just to prolong Omni-Man finding Mark. And everything he does, we have this kaiju. Okay, well, thaw it out and piss it off and throw it at Omni-Man. Here's a giant $1 billion satellite, he calls it the world's most expensive nosebleed because he hurts him, but Omni-Man just destroys it anyways, and so forth and so on. There's just so much cool stuff going on in this
And
lore.
you know, it's like every time Cecil teleports, it's like $7 billion in resources.
Yes.
Yeah,
And he's just like bamfing in a couple episodes. He bamfs all over in a couple of scenarios. And then the other one, Robot, that first season in particular, he has this hidden drive, and he has to break some rules to do this really cool thing where he doesn't want to be a potato in a vat of green goo the rest of his life. And he has to break a lot of rules to pull that off with the baller, the twins.
Baller twins, yeah.
And I liked the dynamics of him in the last 2 seasons of, now I have to actually socialize, and I actually have to, pretty tough at the border. They'll at least get you to go around and go back or be detained. And what else was it? It's just lots of cool stuff about Robot that I just heavily enjoy. Just little things.
I loved his development in the show. Of
Yes.
course, knowing all the things I know about the comics, I worry about the future of many of these characters.
Yeah.
But I'm still just like, but I love the show, and the show's doing a few different things, and we're gonna get a demon story next season.
Yes.
That was not in the comics.
Yeah, that was another good character in the first season. I look forward to seeing how they go with that. All of the supporting characters are just, they're established with reason. Even the ones that you may see a couple of times, you see them later, and obviously things happened with them. The people that made the story, like, other people live their lives. Like, just because you haven't seen them in years doesn't mean they're exactly the same. I really love all the fine development details and all the many branch off characters there are. So good.
Yeah, it's great, and he's just done such a great job with his cascade of characters. But also, I loved that in season 3, you know, we had to see other characters in that world. Who are the other heroes? So it was everybody that he created, because we couldn't get the dudes from the comics. We couldn't get Spawn. We couldn't get Witchblade. We couldn't get Dragon. But every character he created, like Kid Thor and what, they all showed up, and I was like really happy to see that.
Yes. Very much so.
It was really well done.
Yeah, I can't speak enough about Invincible. I just love it so much.
It's great. Anything you'd like to share, Bo? Other than you're going to immediately leave us and then start your own live stream just to go open your box?
You're more than welcome to join.
Then you should send me the link.
Just our weekly FOC shows. We don't really have that much coming up in the pipeline. So it's going to be interesting to see, because we do aim to upload at least twice a week. So we might just have to pull out some ideas from the box and shoot those. But go check out Aussieverse. We are for life.
Aussieverse is for life. Am I scheduled to be on in the upcoming? Like, do you need any guests? Any guests coming up?
Well,
We
Aussieverse is
always could use you.
Message me
Sorry,
after
Cliff?
this stream, and I'm going to peer pressure Cliff to join us. Peer pressure, Cliff.
We'll find a topic to talk about and argue over it. That
Yes.
sounds like a great idea. Something that's divisive between the three of us, and we can
Mary
have a good
Jane
old debate.
Okay, I've got the topic. Are you ready? Raw onions are easier to eat than raw apples.
I don't know if that's going to go for like an hour or two.
Oh, you'd be surprised. There's so many good dishes you can make with raw onions. Raw apples is a raw apple. See, this is how the conversation would go.
You're telling me you can't make any dishes with apples?
You can't make any good ones with raw apples. I said raw. I got to disclaim.
I know, but raw onions. You just said dishes. Well, how many good recipes can you make with raw onions?
Any good burger you could throw in raw onions. You can't throw apples in that. You want an apple burger? How about
What would you want an apple burger, Cliff?
I'm actually going to make an apple burger now just to spite myself.
You should. You should. And I want to hear.
I will film myself eating it too. I probably won't enjoy it, but I'll eat the whole thing. I'll film the whole thing. I'll upload it and I'll tag you both in it. It's going to happen.
All right. I guess if we're going to argue about raw onion versus raw apple, I guess raw onion can win. But even that's a bit circumstantial.
See, and this is how an hour and a half would go. See, this is just the start. See?
I was thinking more along the lines of something comic related, but yeah, okay, we'll go with apples and onions.
I was going to suggest Mary Jane Venom. I feel like that's divisive for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, Bo, your damn face said the words too soon, Cliff. You didn't verbalize it, but your face said too soon, Cliff.
Yeah, that is a hot topic at the moment. I'm fine with that. I know I could rant about that for a little bit. my mate OG Shaky back. Fuck Marvel. Discuss. That is brilliant. I just want to remind you that Tom Brevoort, who is, I think, the head editor-in-chief over at Marvel, said in an interview, we think we know what's best for Amazing Spider-Man. It's still our #1 selling title. So if you really don't like it, stop buying the book. Just stick it to that fucking man. Because this happened before, earlier in the 2000s. The vice president, I think it was Dan Buckley. Dan Buckley is at New York Comic Con, and all the retailers are having a hard time with Marvel and everything. And he's like, just cut your orders to the bone. And I was there, and that was the Diamond Breakfast. And the following year, there he was with his tail between his legs. He goes, last year I said cut your orders to the bone. You did. We listened. So this year we're doing this new initiative, blah, blah, blah. So just remember, if you want, and this will always remain true. Always remain true. All right? If you want to get shit done, fuck with their money.
Yeah.
And that's it. Everyone have a great night. Thank you, Ray, for joining me. Bo, for joining me. You're all amazing. Go catch us shortly over on Aussieverse. It's
Madcap's issue 2.
Have a lovely evening, folks. L'chaim.